isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Konnichiwa, everybody. Welcome, or I should say good morning to everybody to the stream, because we are at the 2 hours of the land of the rising sun. Welcome to the Fuji Grand Prix, the Fuji Speedway Grand Prix, and tonight, or I should say this morning, we are going to have a 2-hour endurance race, and it's going to be, it's going to be a lot. And let's go over here quickly the race details. So it's 2.83 miles in length, 4.56 kilometers, 16 turns, opened back in 1965. So very age-old, aged like fine wine track, I believe, in my opinion. Pit speed 35 miles per hour, 56 kilometers, and it was first seen not that long ago, 2024 season 10 of CIL. So today finally has arrived. It is, well, with a good I'm tearing up a little bit, sorry, but today is the last stream of the season for CIL in terms of our competition, and tonight is the penultimate, I should say, finale for the CSC series. And, well, luckily tonight, I am not alone. I am your host, Edward Sanchez, and beside me, who is currently a little bit camera shy tonight, is Matthew Nordberg. And also got to give a round of applause for my man Matthew Nordberg. He's right there in spirit on the left side, but he's actually right now producing. And as you see, I got my Luffy hat on because tonight is going to be a fun night indeed here in Japan. And I mean, I'm just really prepared because you already see what is happening right now. It is pitch dark. We are racing right now at 4 in the morning Japanese Standard Time, which means it is pitch dark. Fuji Speedway has no track lights at all, which means that the drivers right now are only dependent on their headlights. So if that already screams, a catastrophe down in turn one, I don't know what else is. But as a commentator and as a viewer, I absolutely cannot wait, as right now we are seeing live pictures of the Fuji Speedway. And guess what? Not only is it dark, it actually rained. It was raining earlier in the session during the practice into qualifying. So right now, I believe some drivers are electing perhaps taking a shot at those dry tires, as we see 64 degrees Fahrenheit, 44 degrees, or 64 degrees Fahrenheit in terms of air, 66 in terms of air temperature, 64 in terms of track, cloudy, 8 miles per hour winds to the west, and 100% humidity, folks. I mean, it's going to be a little bit chaotic, as right now the drivers are going on the grid and they're going to get ready to line up here. But as I said, it was raining earlier in the session. So Matthew, wanted to ask you this question. How is it to race on a track that has no track lights and it's a damn wet track? So you're on the wets.
Yeah, Edward, it's definitely going to be a pretty interesting challenge tonight. I don't think these drivers were happy with the fact that there's rain in the forecast, but that's just one of the challenges that they're going to have to be dealing with tonight. The spray plus the darkness is definitely not a fun combo being in the cockpit. You definitely need to be careful and make sure you set your braking points a little bit further back than normal, brake easy, really ease up to that maximum pressure getting into the braking zone so you don't lock up the tires. Luckily, these GT3 cars do have ABS, so that is one respite for these drivers tonight.
Indeed, indeed. And I mean, I can only imagine, Matthew, if we were racing this track layout with the NASCAR Cup cars, having no ABS is going to be a pain. But as you said, luckily these drivers have the tools necessary in order to at least stay alive, one might say. So it's going to be really interesting to see 2 hours of really gruesome and grueling racing here at Okayama, Japan, here in the Fuji Speedway, because it, I mean, I don't really race these GT3 cars. I think it was said enough from last time we were at the Glen, Matthew. But I've raced in the I did the Daytona 24 hour in the GT3s, and that was the only ever time I've touched these type of cars. But in terms of getting to know these drivers and these cars, let's get to know the grid. So our Muhammad Alif, once again, a recently champion CIL FC championship, is in the provisional pole with unexpectedly, Jay Cummings of Team Converse University, the number 95 in second place on the outside. Best starting position so far. Ryan Whitlock, P3 for the Team UAH, for number 81. Robert Kessel Jr. for Team FIU in P4. In row number 2, you've got P5, Lucas Moody for Ball State, and Clint Halterman for Team UNCC in P6. P7 is going to be Hunter Hasty for Team Clemson, with Garrett Byton for Team ASU in P8. And lastly, rounding about our top 10 is Connor Greer for Team UH and Jacob Dick in P10 on the outside for Ball State, number 66. Now, unfortunately, we had to cut it short with the grid, but we have to get this rolling because I know you guys are excited as the pace car is rolling down, and for the final time this season, and I have the honor to call this start. Folks, let's go racing here at Fuji Speedway. It is lights on, and away we go as Alif takes a lead, charging down into the straightaway, and it's going to be a great start as you see all that rain particles spraying around. Folks, we might have it's going to be a dance in the rain down into turn 1, as it looks like Jake is going to have to really hold on to the inside. He's got Ryan Whitlock peeking on the outside with Robert Kessel Jr. in 4th place, and they slowly crept their way into turn 1. Whoa, and it looks like Robert sent it in a little bit deep, almost hits Ryan Whitlock, but it looks like everyone actually singled out. That was a gentleman's, I'd say that's some nice gentleman racing right there. What'd you say, Matthew?
Yeah, for sure. As these cars stream off into the darkness here at Fuji Speedway, 2 hour race, so there is going to be a lot of plenty of time for these drivers to make up positions and really fight their way towards the front. As a very nice restart from all our drivers in the field here tonight.
Yeah, and indeed, it's going to be very interesting to note, Matthew. What are we gonna expect them to change tires? Because right now, as I got the, well, I used to have my super duper binoculars, but since it's really dark outside, I can only see when exactly is the weather gonna start really drying up the track, because we're currently at night. It's really cold. The temperatures are cold. The tires are really cold. It's going to take a while for these drivers to start making a driving line to really kind of make way. Due to the way that iRacing physics work with water, it's as realistic as it can be towards the real-life counterparts. We're going to see slowly a dry line coming up. But Matthew, how important it is. Oh, and we got Donovan Kennedy. Oh, it looks like he locked up the brakes, but he's going to get the car rolling. He's going to take the... Well, I'm not sure if you... Oh, and he spins out a little bit, but he's at the back, so it looks like he's going to get the car rolling. I think it might have been a contact with Evan Main, but Lucas Moody... Ooh, people are... Look at those tires, Matthew. Look at that. They are all drifting and sliding. But the question that I want to pose to you is how important it is to really get that switch onto the dry tires. How important is it for the drivers, and especially from a call from their crew chief?
Yeah, as you see Lucas Moody here going side by side with, I believe that's Clint Halterman out of UNCC down to turn 1. Yeah, tires are going to be a big role here as the track dries out. There was rain earlier, but at the moment it is still, there's no active rain. The track should be drying out now, but a great move from Lucas Moody there, by the way, on Clint Halterman down into turn 1, getting the move done nice and quick. Actually, take that back. He's still trying to make that move on Clint Halterman, but great defensive work there from the UNCC driver. But yeah, in rain, it's so difficult to judge when the crossover point is, because I'm not sure if we're expecting any more rain in this race, but if we aren't...
I'm sorry, but we got a wreck actually in the back. It looks like Nick Stockner has ran off the road. I think he got tagged a little bit there. He got a little bit of help from somebody. Well, he got the car rolling. I'm looking for any damage. It looks like he's okay for now. But I'm sorry to cut you off. I wanted to mention Yeah, Clint Holtzman holding that position against Lucas Moody down into turn one. He held the outside lane, which was a little bit, a little bit dangerous, you could say, as that's not the conventional way. But yeah, as we see their replay, looks like Nick Stockner went off the track there for a little bit. But luckily, it looks like he got the car rolling. I don't see too much damage. So I think he's all good to keep it going. But as we see on board here, Robert Jr. Kessel, the number 28 car for Team FIU, he is currently up into P4. So a nice drive for him as he's staying in his position, but Clint Halterman up one position behind him. So he took the spot from Lucas Moody. So Lucas, as you were mentioning, Lucas Moody trying to bring himself back up to pace here.
Yeah, I think these drivers are really just going to try to survive this first hour of the race or so as the sun starts to rise here over Fuji Speedway. And then really once that sun comes up and it's a bit easier to see through the spray, I expect to see some more aggressive moves as we see Muhammad Ali setting the fastest lap of the race with a 150.4. Expect those lap times to come down as this track dries out. As we go on board with Connor Greer here, trying to make a move for what is the 9th position. Trying to make a move on Hunter Haddesty. Get that move done into turn one. Pretty easy
Textbook
move there.
Move.
Yeah.
Textbook move indeed. I mean, simply put, I think that's one of the things that I want to point out, especially with the track layout, is down into turn one. It's really just that long straightaway out of turn 16, out of the Panasonic corner, a long straightaway. I think that's one of the longest straightaways we have currently on the schedule. And once you go down into turn one, it's the opportunity for you to really make a pass. However, you saw how slow they're really taking this, right? They're playing it really safe. And I believe, really, if you're the car on the outside, Matthew, would you be the one to really let them by on the inside? You don't want to risk them locking up and sliding into you, would you?
Yeah, that's a good point. Being this early in the race, you probably want to play it more cautious. Maybe break 15, 20 meters earlier than you normally would if you got a guy on your inside. And if he's going to lock it up, at least have him lock it up and just send it off the track, and you can kind of just cut back underneath him, not worry about getting into any incidences. It looks like we have a spin further back, maybe Minnesota State University. See if you can get a replay here of what just happened. Oh yeah.
So Evan Main, oh man, it's just oversteering. But I mean, Matthew, as a driver, would you say like it's not easy out there, right, with all that strain?
No, it's so difficult to drive in the rain. It's almost we go back to live. I think he's spinning again. So Evan May not having a great time in the rain, but it is just so difficult to drive these cars in the rain. Obviously, you do have a little bit of traction control. You do have the ABS settings you can play with. So the drivers do have tools available to them as we have a three-way battle here for the last podium spot that's starting to heat up right now between Ryan Whitlock, Robert Kiesel Jr., and Clint Halterman.
Well, if you're just tuning in, folks, welcome once again to the round 4 of the CSC series here at CIL, the home of quality college iRacing. And it's going to be really interesting to see how things will shake up, as right now the sun is rising. It kind of looks like we're kind of getting a little bit of more brightness out there, Matthew. So, I mean, I just wanted to ask you, how is it more difficult, when you're driving at night, even if you have headlights on? It's just so much different when you just can't see the track that far up ahead.
Yeah, especially at a track like this where there are no external lights. Like obviously at a track like Daytona, you have the oval lights illuminating pretty much half the track for you, and even on the infield a little bit. But here it's completely different. You go look to your left, look to your right, complete blackness, right? So it's harder to look further ahead into the apexes. It's harder to find your braking points off the side of the track, depending on what you're using. So these drivers may be backing up their entries a couple of meters. On top of that, the rain makes it even more difficult, as you can barely see in the spray as it is during the daytime. As we see a big dive move here from Clint Halterman down into the final corner, trying to get a move on Robert Kiesel Jr. and FIU. It looks like they're going to be side by side coming out of the final corner. But Kiesel Jr. gets that power down in that Ford Mustang. He's able to accelerate, hold on to that 4th spot.
I wouldn't say it's over yet, as Clint Haltman out of the Panasonic corner. He's going to have a nice slipstream down the front straightaway. So we'll see if he has a shot here, as it looks like he's going to peek onto the inside. No, he's a little bit too far back, as we got a different angle right here. So he's going to easily take this line here, and it looks like he's just going to have to maybe hope for another opportunity out of turn 16. But as you were mentioning, Yeah, it's really gruesome. I want to try and stay here on board. So let's go on a lap here with Clint Halteman as he's gonna go through turns 3, the Coca-Cola corner, as he takes his left-hander. It's a downhill camber. Through here, I would consider the horseshoe really. Down through turns 4, it's the 100R as they say, and as they go out of turn 5, up the hill into turn 6, which is another heavy braking zone. That's the hairpin. As getting a little bit close there. That's Clint against Robert Kessel Jr. In front of them is Ryan Whitlock. So Ryan actually losing a little bit of pace, but yeah, out of 7, down into 8 here, and then it's another right, kind of a right turn here, a little bit of a slant right into turn 9, and then turn 10 here is the Dunlop corner. So it's turns 10, 11, and 12. Another heavy braking zone here, so another passing opportunity when the track dries up, especially. And it's a turn 13. It's not a heavy braking zone, but you're gonna have to slow down a lot for that slow corner. And it's another tight corner here, another left-hander. It's a double apex you can consider into nets out of 15 here. And now you're gonna go back up the hill once again into the Panasonic corner of turn 16, and it's going to be as you see just how wide they're taking this corner. So it's not really it's really interesting the way that we saw Clint kind of take the inside out of turn 16 the lap before, because that corner provides a lot of opportunities the way that you take it, and that makes a lot of racing lines, a lot of possibilities for overtakes. And that was a lap around the circuit around Fuji Speedway with Clint Halteman.
Yeah, I think it's a great track to take a couple different lines, especially through that last sector. Especially in the wet too. With the wet, you kind of open up a lot more of the track. Obviously, you want to stay off the rubbered in parts of the track as much as you can in the braking zones, as that rubber acts like it almost smooths out the asphalt underneath, and so you get a lot less grip in rainy conditions when you have that kind of smoothed out asphalt. It's great in the dry, because that rubber adds more friction to the surface. But in the wet, that rubber becomes super slick. It becomes almost like a billiard surface, right? You want to try to brake a little bit offline, entering through these heavy braking zones in order to maximize your braking potential, and that's what we've seen Halterman do on these onboards. We see him a little bit to the inside of the outside of the racing lines. As you see here, you can look the inside. Robert Kiesel Jr., he's probably about half a car width or a car width inside of the track compared to where you'd normally be braking on a dry track.
Interesting to know. And yeah, I noticed that a lot, Matthew. And I am a little bit novice in terms of racing in the wets, but I'm so glad that you're here today in the booth. And oh, Ben, it looks like that is Ryan Whitlock. Oh, he goes a little bit wide, but he gets it going, so he's fine. But that's what you were mentioning. Oh, we got up ahead Clint Halterman on the inside of Robert Kessel Jr. They made a slight contact, it looked like. And once again, we saw that move Clint tried to do on the inside of turn 16, try to cut it close to the apron. But that's what you were saying, right? Trying to not take the conventional racing line because all that wetness makes the rubber just slick. But as we see on board here, just look at the spray. I mean, it's not really raining that much anymore, but look at that. It's just still, wow. I mean, it's just insane. But I did want to mention something, Matthew. So we did a poll
both
earlier.
of them off.
Oh, both of them off. Never mind. Back on. Let's go back on about the race. As Clint Halterman, both of them. You know, I know the old saying that drivers say, and I mean this out of no disrespect, but as they say, monkey see, monkey do, right? You see the car up ahead, whatever they do, you will most likely tend to follow their line. So you saw Robert take it really wide. He missed the braking point, or the car just slid, and then Clint just also followed them the same way. It's as if, you know, I was going to say, it's like there's oil on the track, but really there's water on the track already. As it looks like Clint had a struggle there in that middle sector. He actually lost a couple tenths right there against Robert, and Ryan Whitlock, who we saw him kind of bottle it up a little bit out of turn 14. He is currently trying to get his way back up into the top 5. Into the top 4, I should say. But I did want to mention, Matthew, we did a poll earlier, and it was, will there be a wreck going to turn 1? We had 5 votes saying yes, 100%. Guess what? We did not have a wreck into turn 1, so unfortunately enough, the viewers were wrong. We actually had a clean turn 1. Are you surprised by that, Matthew?
I'm a little surprised by that. I think in the wet, kind of expect it to be a bowling alley almost into turn one. We've seen it in all levels of motorsports. Really, turn one is so treacherous, especially when it's such a tight hairpin corner, like turn one here is at Fuji. But I think the drivers realize this being a 2-hour race, there's plenty of time for them to throw the race away themselves. No need to wreck other drivers in the first corner. Might as well make it through at least 15 minutes of this race, as we can just see how much spray is being kicked up by these GT3 cars coming down into turn one. And you can really see Kiesel Jr., he's trying to search for all the grip on this racing surface, going to the inside, trying to break offline and kind of angle himself as wide as possible, as we have Ryan Whitlock making a move to the inside of Clint Halterman here.
What a move indeed, and he's going to go down into turn 3. He's going to probably be late on the braking zone out of the Coca-Cola turn, and he does. He gets through on the outside. What a move. I mean, wow, you're just seeing these drivers just taking lines, and I'm just looking at it like, how are you doing it on the wets? But Clint Halterman decides he's going to send it on the inside here, down into the hairpin. Oh, and he doesn't make any moves there yet. It looks like he's going to have to maybe try once again down into turn 8 into 9. And he's going to get a nice slipstream. So another passing opportunity here down into turn 10 into Dunlop corner. He's going to maybe look onto the inside. No, he's going to stay on the racing line. And he's going to try and maybe get a better exit there. But he gets really close there with Ryan Whitlock. And we know, Matthew, these two drivers, they are always entangled with each other. They always have to have an on-track battle. It's something that you just have to expect now.
Yeah, for sure. There are a couple other battles going on the track right now. Obviously, the closest being Halterman and Whitlock, but Garrett Vitton for Team ASU is currently in a fight with the Ball State 21 car of Lucas Moody. Moody's holding on to that 6th spot, but Garrett Vitton has caught up a decent amount these past couple laps. Both these guys in the Ferrari as they come out of the final corner now, and it looks like Garrett Vitton's going to get a nice little slipstream as Lucas Moody dives to the inside of the track, maybe trying to find a little bit of extra wetness and moisture to keep those tires cool.
Indeed, but I think Clint Halterman might have a shot here down into turn 1. He's going to look onto the inside. He's going to peek, and he does not send he's not going to send a dummy. He's actually going to send it in down into turn 1. He's going to try and hold the apron. Oh, but those right side tires on those apron, not enough grip, but he actually does get it done. Down out of turn 2 and down into the straightaway into the Coca-Cola corner. He is going to take the lead even before taking the corner. What a move by Clint Halterman. Now that's how you take the inside lane right there. And he's going to move up into P4. So Ryan Whitlock once again loses a spot, and they both traded it now. I believe the count is 3 times. But as we see right there, or I should say behind them, looks like Lucas Moody got a little bit of a gap towards Garrett Vitton. It looks like he actually did gain 2 tenths, or I should say a 10th in the middle sector. Actually, close contact there. That is going to be Jacob Dick, the P8 and P9 of Connor Greener, as they're both side by side down into turn 4, down into turn 8. They're going to try and maybe Jacob is going to try and hold on to the inside. Yes, he does. He's going to move to the inside to make that block down into turn 10 into Dunlop corner. Connor Greener, he's going to try to do the old switcheroo move. Oh, and he makes a little bit of a contact out of turn 12 now, up the hill. And it looks like Jacob Dick is going to survive for another corner. But man, Matthew, that was a little bit aggressive right there.
Yeah, a lot of aggressiveness out of these drivers, maybe more so than I was expecting at this point in the race. But with the wet track conditions, sometimes that can kind of equal things out, as some of the drivers who, might feel like they are significantly quicker than the car in front. Maybe some of these cars kind of just coasting and trying to survive these wet conditions as the sun rises, hoping the sun evaporates some of this moisture off the track. But Connor Greer, I think, definitely has the pace here to get past Jacob Dick, and I think Jacob Dick has just got to make sure that he defends reasonably, doesn't get too aggressive, knows that there's still an hour and 42 minutes left to go in this race. So plenty of time for Connor Greer out of UAH, University of Alabama at Huntsville, to get this move done.
And to make a move indeed, and it looks like he's going to try and maybe send it in on the inside as Ryan Whitlock holding off Clint Halterman. But yeah, I mean, it's just insane overall. This is great. As we have someone in the chat going, let's go Jake, BSU number 66. So Jacob Dick getting that motivation, but someone who needs motivation right now is going to be Clint Halterman, because he's going to try and make his way around Ryan Whitlock, who once again made the pass around him a couple corners before. So these two are just trading positions, but behind them, it looks like Garrett Weitzen is under the attack of Jacob Dick, and it looks like Jacob Dick has actually caught up and made the pass. Oh, and it looks like, wow, that is a move for P8, I believe, for P7. So Jacob Dick up into P7. Garrett Weitzen has now dropped into P8 with Connor Greener now giving the bumper to Garrett Weitzen. So it's now a three-way battle for P7. So the battle is now really on for Garrett, as he's going to try and maybe make the pass or try to hold off here.
Yeah, it looks like that team Arizona State car must have had a bit of a slip up in the wet and allowed these cars behind him to catch up. He's fallen off pretty considerably from the Ball State 21 of Lucas Moody and 6th still. And I think Ryan Whitlock might have had an incident as well, because he is now significantly behind Clint Halterman, and Lucas Moody is right on the bumper of the UAH car of Ryan Whitlock. So something definitely happened to Whitlock there. We'll have to maybe get a replay.
I can tell you right now, he actually spun it out of turn 14. Yeah, he was. Oh, they both spun actually. Both him and Clint actually spun in the same spot, but Clint got it going quicker. As we see on board here with Connor Greener, he's gonna try and make it look. He made it a move onto the inside, but looks like Garrett put the block on him in time, and Connor decided to bail out and decide to take the conventional racing line into turn 1. But yeah, it looks like Ryan Whitlock actually, both him and Clint spun out. Clint got it going quicker, but Ryan didn't. As we see, oh, look at that, they both spun it, but it looks like Ryan 90 degrees against the racing line, so he got the worst of it, and Clint got away with it. But I mean, once again, you just think that these drivers are getting more and more comfortable with the rain, and taking different lines, and then all of a sudden the car just snaps. And Matthew, there's just you can't really predict when those things happens, right?
No, it's tough with the wet track being such a dynamic surface. It is quite literally changing every single lap, and I believe right now that it's still overcast. There's no additional rain falling, but it is a pretty cool track, 64 degrees track surface temperature. So this is not moisture that's going to evaporate quickly. Obviously, the sun is continuing to rise, so that's going to help increase the track temperature a little bit, maybe help the evaporation process along somewhat. But, like we saw, like Clint Halterman and Ryan Whitlock there, it looks like Clint went through, and then Whitlock at the same speed behind him just spun, and maybe that's just different traction control settings, maybe different just throttle application techniques. But we see Connor Greer here get to the inside of ASU's Garrett Witten. It looks like a bit of a slip up there from the ASU driver as he was drifting through the final corner. This might give Greer a chance going down into turn 1.
Yeah, once again, that's just a real unfortunate, because once you cause a slip up, the other drivers, every time they see an error, they go, yes, they smack their lips, they start shaking their hands, thinking, I got this, and looks like Connor did not get that one right in turn 1. He goes a little bit overshoots it, but that's, as you were saying, right, when you're really close behind the car and all that rain sprays onto your car, and especially with those front tires, you don't have that lateral grip, and that's what caused Connor to really understeer into turn 1. But I mean, yeah, every driver always seeks an opportunity, and as they say, when there's a gap, go for the gap. And it looks like up ahead there's actually an incident on the track. It looks like Evan Main spun around with Nick Stockner, I believe. It looks like Donovan Kennedy got it going, but it looked like there was a incident on the track. Yeah. So Evan Main went on the inside of Nick Stockner, and Evan locked up the tires, and they both wrecked. So Nick Stockner got punted out of the way, but he got it going, so he's fine. I don't think he has much damage. But Garrett Weitzen, on the other hand, he has a lot of damage on his heart, because he's not getting past Luke. He's not getting past anytime soon, it looks like, because he's trying, but every time he does get closer, Jacob Dick just puts the bumper onto him, and he's not able to make the pass. I mean, Matthew, and it looks like he makes the pass as he makes a mistake, but oh no! Looks like Garrett spun the tires. Jacob Dick is going to hold on to the inside around the Panasonic corner, and Garrett's going to try and take a wide arc here, as it looks like Connor's trying to make an effort onto the inside, and they're both lined up, I should say, not side by side yet, as it looks like down the front straightaway, Garrett having to try and maybe get a nice slipstream. Look at all that spray, folks. Look at the view. That's just incredible. as Garrett's going to look onto the inside, perhaps. No, Jacob Dick moves to the outside as a defensive move. He weaves up and down. Wow, that is a lot of weaving. Oh, Jacob Dick locks up the tires a little bit. He's going to go a little bit far out wide, and Garrett Weitzen, oh, he's going to put the bumper on him. He gets closed up, and it looks like once again, down out of turn 1 and 2. He's going to have another opportunity into turns 3, into the Coca-Cola corner, and he's going to try on the outside. We've seen this happen a couple of times before among the drivers. Not enough. As Garrett for Team ASU, he's going to have to settle in once again, but down out of turn 7 and 8. He's going to try and maybe make another pass, I should say, up into turn 5. Oh, and they make slight contact. They make contact. Both Garrett and Jacob makes contact into the corner. He's going to try and make a move once again, and I don't think he's happy, Matthew. If you get tagged like that, I mean, how thin is your patience at this point as they head into this next braking zone?
Yeah, this is some pretty incredible stuff in the wet right now. You would think that the way these guys are fighting, that it's the last lap of the race, not an hour and a half left. It looks like, a big move down the inside there into the chicane, trying to make the move back. Yeah, Greer's really putting the bumper on Jacob Dick right now. He's just kind of hoping that something happens between these two cars ahead of him. But yeah, really aggressive driving from both the ASU and Ball State cars there. Obviously, getting pushed off the track, I think Garrett was probably a little bit upset. And in the wet, when you get pushed on to the curbs and the painted surface on the outside of the track like that, it is the scariest thing in the world because there is zero grip on that wet paint and on those wet curbs. So you know Garrett was pretty upset, able to keep it under control, keep it pointed in the, towards the asphalt, towards the sticky stuff, and was able to make the move. It was really aggressive and really opportunistic from Garrett, but super well executed, and honestly, pretty clean racing for both those drivers. Maybe a little borderline, maybe a little unsportsmanlike in some ways, but either way, both cars still continue on in this race after a really good side-by-side battle there.
Well, Matthew, you might say it's unsportsman, but from where I have grown up in the racing world, I'm gonna say that's just trading some pain. That's just two college drivers going at it. They want to get a better finish. They want the bragging rights, and as they should here in Seattle. Welcome once again, everybody, if you're just tuning in. We are currently in almost half an hour in to our 2-hour endurance here at the Fuji Speedway, and the battle is on, but now it's kind of simmered down for P7. But I think the battle between P8 and P9 is still going as Jacob Dick and Connor Greer, they are both just they're putting on a clinic right now. So I just think, Matthew, that these two, we're going to see them trade positions perhaps later down the road, especially during pit stops. It will be exciting to see these three drivers as they're really putting on a show tonight. But up ahead, I got to give a quick shout out to the leader, because who is leading the race? But it's none other than our Muhammad Ali, once again up in the lead by nearly 5.5 seconds. But behind him is Jacob Cummings. So Jake currently trying to maybe not let him get away that soon. He has put in the lap times. He's currently only losing around 2 to 4 tenths on average every lap or so. Last time around, 4 tenths slower than a Leaf. But Cummings, he is trying to come towards a Leaf as he's trying to maybe hopefully have a shot when the track dries up. Maybe he can try to underpit, get on the dries quick enough, Matthew, and maybe have a shot to win, and maybe hopefully dethrone a Leaf from another win.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough as we see. Looks like Connor Greer might be trying to get to the outside here of the Ball State 66. Looks like Ball State was really on the inside. A big move around the outside here from the UAH 03 car. Looks like he's not going to be able to get the move done. A little too deep into the corner, and Ball State will hold on, and Jacob Dick will retain the 8th position for now. But yeah, honestly, if I was one of these drivers right now, I would not even be thinking about the dry tires at this moment. One of the best ways in iRacing to determine the crossover point for wet to dry tires is that spray, and we're still seeing a pretty significant amount of spray across the entire circuit right now. I don't think there's a single part of the circuit where we don't see any spray right now, especially on the front stretch. That's where the spray is the worst by far. So these drivers, maybe in an hour they could think about switching over the dries. It takes about an hour and a half for to go from a completely dry surface to a completely wet surface. Now a completely wet to completely dry surface. Looks like Jacob Dick goes a little bit deep into that corner into the chicane.
Oh, and Connor Greener is gonna put he's gonna put the bumper once again on Jacob, but Jacob is not letting any of it. And wow, it's just once again, I'm gonna have to say it. Jacob has some great defensive style driving. He knows where to park that car to not let him have the advantage. Oh, Garrett Weitzen, he spins around in front of them. Evasive actions has to take place there out of turn 14. And unfortunately for Garrett, well, fortunately enough, he did not get tagged there. He was able to get the car rolling with no damage, but that is going to hurt him. But I mean, Matthew, while I'm, as a driver, I hate to see this happen as we see a replay up the hill into out of turn 15 of nets, and unfortunately you see there those two cars had to take evasive maneuver around the ASU as the Sun Devil. Unfortunately, the sun is not up yet, and it looks like on my screen it looks like it's raining again. It's raining.
It does look like a stream of showers have come back across the surface. As you see weather conditions on the bottom right hand side of your screen, light rain is present. So if these drivers were hoping to maybe potentially switch over to the dries within an hour 15 minutes, those hopes have been dashed.
And I can tell you this right now, I have the weather radar on right now. We got another stray bands of rain coming across the track in the next, I'm going to say the next 40, oh, it looks like the next 15 minutes we're going to have a whole rain. It's going to rain the track again, so another 15 minutes of rain as we have another band of showers coming over. Wow. It looks like it's going to clear up in around, it should say in around 25 to 30 minutes, it looks like, where it's going to be 21% precipitation. So, I mean, Matthew, I don't think we're even going to get on the dry sets even in this race. I think we're going to go all the way with the wets.
Yeah, it's certainly looking like that, and I think some of these drivers who've been doing really well in the wet, drivers like Alif, Cummings, Kiesel Jr., those top three, obviously, they must be enjoying the wet if they're in the podium positions, but they're happy that the rain's going to stick around. Some drivers who maybe struggled a little bit, Ryan Whitlock has had a couple spins, Garrett Vitton has had a couple spins. Those drivers are dreading the incoming rain, and hopefully it doesn't get much wetter than it is right now, but it's also possible that after this band of showers over the next 30 minutes that we could see the sun actually peek its head out, maybe put some heat in this track, and maybe towards the end of this race we could have a couple people gamble. But obviously that is well over an hour away, as we are now 30 minutes into this 2-hour race. We got a three-way battle for the top 10 between Alex Finnerty, Jamie Plasinia, and Hunter Haddisty going down the front stretch.
Yeah, and this is what I'm going to love about this is that having rain as a big aspect, especially now that we know how prominent it's going to be for the rest of the race, and also shout out to iRacing and their rain system, because this is just like real life, right? You can never really understand how the clouds are going to move in certain ways, how much rain is going to get, but it looks like James is going to move on to the inside, side by side, down into the Coca-Cola corner, still side by side. The battle for 10th is on. As Alex Finnerty, he's going to try and hold on to the inside. He's going to send it in, and he's going to hold off there. Down out of turn 5. We'll see out of the horseshoe. Down into turn 4 through the horseshoe. Let's see if he's going to hold off. He does, and he's going to live another few corners. But Jamie almost had him there, but not close enough, as it looks like Hunter he's hunting down to probably get into the top 10, but not close enough yet. Out of turn 5. And up into the hairpin here. It's going to be really interesting for these two these three to really focus on what is the long run purpose here, because it is going to be interesting to note that as you said, right, if they're going to stick on these wets, what about fuel? Like, what are we talking about fuel strategy? Because we are currently 35 minutes into the session, and is fuel a concern? Is this a 2-stopper or a 3-stopper?
Well, it should be an interesting race in terms of fuel. Fuel should go about 25 to 30 laps. Right now we are on lap 18, so in the dry we would likely expect pit stops to happen within the next 10 laps, which would be 15, 20 minutes away in the dry. But obviously in the wet you're on that throttle a whole lot less often than you are in the dry. So in this case, I'd expect to see an extra 10 laps added to that, so maybe we'll see pit stops around, lap 30 to 35, so that's 12 laps. That's
Ooh.
going to be about 25 to 30 minutes away. So we might be able to make this a one-stop race if these drivers are really conserving their fuel. But obviously, we'll have to see how this plays out because I think the drivers are probably in a pretty wide range of fuel strategies given their throttle usage and their pace right now.
Right, but it's one thing to note that, while these wet tires, they're very durable, but they do overheat. I mean, you have the benefit of the track at least being cold, right? I mean, obviously because it's raining, but, the sun hasn't risen up yet still. And so it's really all about having those tires, as cool as possible. And so, I think tire degradation is not going to be a big factor. But as you said, right, if fuel is going to be a play factor in this one, I suspect some drivers, if they're really conservative with the fuel, I could see a one stopper because if they're gonna pit around the 1 hour mark and if they've lasted this long, I mean, who knows? Because right now it looks like the rain is slowly letting up just a teeny bit from what I see. It looks like in the next 7 minutes, it looks like rain is about to end as we're currently in the middle of this band of rain here in the Fuji Speedway. As we see there in front of you, oh, that's a damaged car right there, side by side. 80's gonna let him have the corner, but behind them, Conor Greer, oh, out of the corner. This is gonna be a great battle here down into turn one. He has the opportunity to make a pass. He's gonna look onto the outside. He's gonna get that preferred outside lane. We know he does like going onto the outside, and it looks like Jacob Dick once again holding onto the inside. But that's Evan Main, who's gonna probably do a little bit of traffic right here in front of Jacob, and Jacob not being able to really get on the gas as soon as he can. So once again, Connor getting there ever so much closer into the Coca-Cola corner on the outside. He's going to probably make a nice wide entry. Oh, he does. He got a better exit there. Down into turn 4. He's going to go around the horseshoe, but he's going to let off the gas right there. His car got a little bit tight there. Up the hill into turn 5. He's going to have to maybe make a move into the hairpin. No, he's a little bit too far back. Down into turn 6. He's going to go maybe, if he has a really great exit, he has a shot into the Dunlop corner into turn 10. So we'll see if he's going to make a move into the heavy braking zone here.
Yeah, you can see Conor Greer, he's kind of wiggling around a little bit in these higher speed corners in the wet. Makes me think that he's got a slightly lower downforce setup than the Jacob Dick and the Ball State car in front of him. You can see him, he's kind of struggling in those high speed, kind of what would easily be flat out in the dry, but are kind of like a weird in between. Like some laps, if you can get the line just right, you could probably take it flat or pretty close to it. And you can see, oh, another big wiggle there out of Conor Greer. I don't know if, he's spinning the tires there too.
Jacob Dick goes wide. He's going to have to maybe hold on to the inside. This gives another shot for Connor. But as you said, if he has a low drag setup, and you're right, that low downforce, it means that in those high speed corners, he's going to suffer, but not here on the front stretch. It's all speed here as he's going to try and get another shot down to the straight start finish line. As Jacob Dick is going to probably, I think he's far ahead enough that maybe Connor won't have enough to try to put up a bumper down to turn 1. As Jacob takes a defensive line down into the turn 1 onto the inside. Connor shoots it to the wide. He's going to try and maybe hold off there, but no, once again, it's rinse and repeat. Same song, same verse. And Jacob Dick holds out into P8 out of turn 2.
Yeah, it's been a really good fight between these two drivers. You see a lap car being lapped behind this battle. Some other battles, Jamie Placencia. He's currently still in that fight for 10th with Alex Finnerty, and Hunter Hidesti behind in 12th is keeping an eye on those two in front of him. He's within a second. Also, Ryan Whitlock kind of getting close to Clint Halterman after a couple spins earlier from the UAH driver. So he's kind of slowly getting back, trying to get towards that 4th position again. But right now, the closest battle on track still is Conor Greer. But as I say that, Jamie Placencia has gotten to within about 6/10 of Alex Finnerty.
Well, while this battle is still happening, I was gonna mention that we had a funny comment by Brandon Schulenberger, one of our drivers, in the chat. He goes, "They should stop the race. They gotta dry the track before someone gets hurt." Well, if this was NASCAR Cup car, then yes. Oh, it looks like a car stuck on the track. We got 3 cars stuck on the track. That's Nick Stockner stopped on the track there. He got the car rolling, and another car, it looks like out of the corner, looks like that is the car of Robert Stockton. He's also he got it rolling, but someone else in the back. Oh, Jason Wallet. He spun out of the corner. He was also stuck on the track. He hit the barriers actually in that Mercedes GT3, and oh, he lost the front bumper. Yeah, so Matthew, lots of drivers right now just all of a sudden not being able to really stay on the track anymore. It looks like lap 20 catastrophe is happening as we still have light rain here on the Fuji Speedway.
Yeah, we're kind of entering that point in the race where a lot of these drivers are kind of just getting into their own little bubble of their race where they maybe have a couple seconds to the car in front or a couple seconds to the car behind. So it's really easy to lose focus in these conditions where you really got to be on top of it the entire time. And that's you know, racing in the rain is scary even in the sim. You know, obviously I can't imagine what it'd be like in real life. But in the sim, it's such a visceral experience where every little input of the wheel is almost amplified to where you go across a puddle at the wrong angle and the wrong slip angle or whatever, and you just lose all grip. Like there's no chance of saving it. And these drivers, you know, for the most part, they should have their ABS turned way up, TC turned way up, and even then, they still might come across a situation where they just like absolutely cannot control what's happening once they hit that puddle wrong. So you can see these drivers really trying to stay away from the curbs, and that's the big thing that they're trying to avoid right now. Those curbs have paint on them. Wet paint has zero grip. So if you see a driver touch those curbs, expect bad things to happen.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Oh, and I was actually just watching a Leaf. He currently was out of turn 1. He hit that the white apron. Well, it's close to the curb. Even that white line, it has no grip, as you said, right? The paint has no grip as in the asphalt, and even when the asphalt has zero grip, what does a painted apron have? You know, it has even less. As Ryan Whitlock holding out there, he's gonna try and maybe make a move as he's finally caught up with Clint Halterman. So I don't know if Clint had an issue there, but the battle is now back on. This is exciting, Matthew.
Yeah, Ryan Whitlock has really done a great job of closing that gap after an earlier spin to Clint Halterman, the UAH 81 driver, marching his way back towards the field right now. As battles are starting to tighten up across the field as the rain is starting to come down again. I think maybe some drivers got into a bit of a rhythm, and now that the rain is back, it's affecting their rhythm, and maybe they got to mentally readjust to what their braking point should be, what their visibility, what they're expecting their visibility to be, and so forth. So. I think some of these drivers are really relishing in the opportunity to get back in some active rain and pick up the pace a little bit. As we see Clint Halterman here kind of struggling a bit over this chicane, Ryan Whitlock, he looks poised to take his position within the next couple of corners.
Well, I would say that you are right, because now that we had a lot of rain, it's actually just drizzling. It's now drizzling, and it looks like Ryan Whitlock on the inside, side by side with Clint Halterman. Clint trying to hold off to the outside, or I should say the inside now, down into the Panasonic corner, and he's gonna hold it off once again. But Ryan Whitlock, almost a switcheroo, but he gets a better exit speed as we're gonna go on board here with the Team UAH of the number 81 car down the front straightaway. Oh, a little bit of weaving as Ryan Whitlock is trying to get another weaving by Clint. Oh, man, the gloves are off for these two. Once again, a great battle ahead of us as they cross the start-finish line down the front straightaway into turn 1. Who's going to be last on the brakes? Once again, it's going to be Ryan on the outside, Clint on the inside. And Clint, gets a little bit on the apron, but he's able to hold the momentum. And he gets away scot-free as Ryan Whitlock once again has to relegate into P5. And he's going to have to maybe wait and be patient for another shot as they go through the Coca-Cola corner. Oh, it looks like Clint does not get a great exit. He wobbles a little bit. The rear spin, not getting enough traction. Ryan, once again, close as they head out of the hairpin, up to the corner, out of turn 5, into the hairpin here into turn 6. Oh, we have a spinner. That's Jason Wallet. Oh, and Jason Wallet got going. Oh, that messed up Clint's line. Oh, down the hill. They're going to go into the next heavy braking zone. It's going to be close as they head down into turn 8 through 9. They're going to head into the Dunlop corner towards turn 10. It's going to be late on the braking once again. Clint holding on to the inside, but that's a really tight entry as it's going to be Ryan Whitlock. Another switcheroo move possibility here out of turns 10, 11, and 12. Up the hill. Ryan once again close onto Clint Halterman. It is UNCC versus UAH and it's close once again. This is where Clint went a little bit wide once again into turn 15, and he does it again. He went a little bit wide, but it looks like he's able to gather it up and collect himself as Clint Halterman holds off once again up into the turn 16 into the Panasonic corner. Clint taking a really tight entry, but Ryan, look at that arc. He's trying to get as much exit speed as possible as looks like Clint once again spins the rear tires. Matthew, I'm running out of breath, but I don't know if I can keep going. Take it away.
Yeah, Ryan Whitlock's doing all he can to really hassle the back rear wing of that Porsche 077 of Clint Halterman in front of him right now. Down into turn 1, we saw Clint take a defensive line last time. Can Ryan get to the outside? He does. He's going to try to brake and try to go around the outside. A bit of a squirm from the 077 of Clint Halterman. Clint, he's going to go way deep into the corner, and Ryan Whitlock executes the switchback to perfection. But Clint Halterman, he's going to try to fight this one back up to the inside here. He's not going to be able to stay side by side. He tucks underneath the rear wing of that Corvette, and Ryan Whitlock gets the position. A great move from him, but I'm sure this battle is going to continue on for the next couple of corners as they are still bumper to wing right now.
It still is as they go through the 100R down up into turn 5 into turn 6 once again into the hairpin. You just got to realize this, Matthew, and I see this as a driver's perspective. Could this be the case of, you know, when the car in front has no other car in front as in terms of like a braking point? You know, it's kind of like you're driving in the blind as we see a little bit of a driving, I should say a racing line kind of start appearing on the track. But yeah, I would say that, you know, the way that I see it is you have an advantage being behind somebody. While it's not favorable, especially in these conditions, you at least can outbrake them. You know, like the car in front has less of a braking point or I should say knowing where to really stick that braking point into the corners, and because of that, now Ryan has to be the one to kind of lead the charge, because as you said, right, with this dynamic rain that iRacing has for us here today, it causes the track to change throughout the course, and you see kind of a drive. Now we have a racing line appear on the front stretch as it looks like the rain is slowly but surely actually passing over us. It's actually passing by, and I think it's over on the front stretch. It's no longer raining, it looks like, from the booth up top.
Yeah, we are starting to see a little bit of a dry line form on the racing line down the front stretch. We see a bit of a move there from Clint Halterman, maybe trying to stick an opportunistic nose to the inside of the Corvette of Ryan Whitlock in front of him. But yeah, we see a bit of a dry line starting to form. I'm not sure if the temperature on the track's changed. No, not really. Track's still 64 degrees, 66 ambient. So just the amount of cars running over that part of the track is hoovering up.
I'm sorry, we got a wreck. That's Hunter Hasty. He spun around. Oh no! Oh, sorry, that's Jamie. Jamie and Nick Stockner has made contact. Now, side by side, Alex Fernetti and Hunter Hasty are down the front straightaway. The battle for 10th, as we know that Hunter, he was hunting down for that top 10, and I think he has a shot. As a Ford Mustang goes across the front straightaway, he's gonna, oh, never mind. He's actually gonna probably lay back, and he's gonna let him have it. So Hunter is gonna let him have 10th place as Alex Fernetti moves up from P11 to P10. But it looked like that was a scuffle out of the Panasonic corner, and a car, it looks like, I believe it was James, or I believe that was James who got, he definitely, as it looks like right there, yeah,
no,
the
it was 42. the 42, yeah. The 42 of Auburn University, driven by Mitchell Stockton right now, spins in the final corner, and absolutely nowhere for Jamie Placencia to go for Team FC, so he has to relinquish that. I believe it was the 10th spot at the time to Alex Finnerty and the 888 of Hunter Hadesky.
Oh, wow, and we also got another car that spun out currently. Oh, we have 2 cars spun out. Robert Stockton once again. Oh, we got pit stops. All right, well, the drivers are okay. I think they got it rolling, but we got to focus on here. Clint Halterman of UNCC, he's the first one to pit, and we saw him losing time to Ryan Whitlock. So, and Jay Cummings also in the pits. So, drivers are in the pits. Leaf has stayed out, so Leaf is still out, our race leader. But for now, it looks like the P2 driver of Jay Cummings has pitted in for most likely maybe new wet tires and fuel. Clint Halterman out in his pit 2. Ryan Whitlock is still out there on 25 lap old tires. So I think it's interesting. Matthew, 25 laps they've lasted in this stint with, and we're only 51 minutes in, so we have an hour and 12. I mean, is a one stopper still possible, or is it just now? Could this be just they have to stretch a lot of fuel to the end?
Yeah, at this point, they'd probably have to stretch a significant amount. They went about 48, 47 minutes on one tank of fuel. So not great. Uh, Maybe I guess the research guys who set up our graphic for tonight were doing the lap counters for the fuel tank based off wet laps. Who knows? But that's a little surprising. I thought they could have at least gotten to maybe lap 30, and if they could have gotten to lap 30, I think they had a really good shot of potentially stretching this into a one-stop race. But we'll have to see. Jake Cummings still in the car for Team Converse. The CSC is a team event, so obviously drivers can switch if they have a teammate. Would expect them to switch at this point if they do, but Clint Halterman also still in the car, back down in 11th, right behind Hunter Hidesti and his UNCC teammate of Alex Finnerty. So we'll see if there's any team orders here as we looks like side by side between Hidesti and Finnerty. We'll see what can happen here. Can the Mustang make a move around the outside? We have Clint Halterman. He's being held up by this pretty significantly right now as the two cars are scrapping for the 9th spot into the chicane. Looks like Clint Halterman is able to get to the inside of the Mustang of Hunter Hidesti and the Clemson 888. And now only his teammate ahead, the two Porsches side by side for UNC Charlotte, will be able to sort that one out. And Clint Halterman, no, it looks like Alex Finnerty is making a move back at Halterman after Halterman made the pass, but Halterman doing a great job in that 077 to hold on to the position. He's up into 9th after being one of the first cars to make a pit stop this evening.
But you got to think about this. Those are fresh, wet tires, so he has the advantage now. Although maybe less because I don't know how much it impacts. I know that the fuel load has an impact on the car, right? And so these drivers behind them haven't pit yet, so they're gonna run short of fuel. But Clint has a full tank of fuel now, but with fresh tires, so that extra grip. As we have Preston Pritzloff, he's in the pits. But yeah, so I want to mention. I believe it was Jay Cummings who made the pass on Donovan Kennedy. He almost got tangled up with the lap car incident, but Jay Cummings has made an effort now, and we'll see what are the. I want to know, Matthew, what are the tire difference in terms of the performance, right? So these two definitely have gotten fresh tires, and I mean by Clint Halterman and Jay Cummings. So I do want to see this time around what is their pace and how much of a difference is it to get fresh tires.
Yeah, I expect probably about half a second, maybe at most, for the difference between fresh tires. We have a car on the inside there. Who is that? That is the Minnesota State University car
Evan
we
Main.
saw. Yeah, he's had a tough night.
He has a rough night. I mean, right now he's in P16, only a lap down, so not that bad. You know, it's better than being last. But speaking of who's not in last, Robert Kessel Jr. He's now in Team FIU. He's pitted now. He's gonna get those fresh tires, perhaps, and a full tank of fuel. But we'll see how this goes because he was currently tracking in P3, so his competition would most likely be really against Jay Cummings. So Jay Cummings right now, he has now. Oh, someone is in the pits. So Connor Greer, he's rolled into the pits, and so Jay Cummings currently about to now pass the start of the pit lane entry right about now. And I'm trying to see if Robert is going to get going anytime soon, as Jake has now passed the front straight. Oh, and it looks like he's got it going in front, and Jake Cummings is in front of Robert Kessel Jr. down to the turn 1. And, I mean, wow. So Jake Cummings has a 1 minute and 50 lap. That was his lap, a minute and 50, compared to our Muhammad Alif with a minute and 51. So a second faster. Jay Cummings that time around with those fresh tires. Matthew, could this be a case of that the tires are worth getting for rather than having a one-stopper?
Yeah, I mean, you could make that argument now. I mean, it probably feels really good to be out on track on fresh, wet tires that still have all that tread in them, and you're suctioning away and vacuuming up all that water. You're feeling like you're top of the world. I mean, you'd have to make up a pretty significant difference in order to make up an entire pit stop. It would be most likely a fuel-only pit stop for these guys at the end of this race. I would imagine they would 20 minutes. It might be touch or go.
Right.
But still, you're going to be in the pits for at least 20, 25 seconds. So really, you're going to need to make up a lap with these tires on a two-stopper compared to a one-stopper, and I don't think that's possible.
Well,
You need to keep that pace for 25 laps, and everybody else is still going to pit and get fresh tires eventually as well.
Well, Jacob Dick for Ball State has now gone into the pits. So Jacob, I believe his driver, because I believe there's going to be a driver swap for here. If I'm correct here on the driver sheet, that is going to be Kelton Quick. So Kelton Quick might be quick to get into the driver's seat as we're on board here with the battle for 14th. It looks like it's going to be Donovan Kennedy. Oh, sorry, that's Jason Wallet, the battle for 13th. The Jason Wallet on the outside. Arpad Kovac's going to go deep, and he goes
They both go
wide.
deep.
They both go deep, both in the Mercedes AMG GT3s, and looks like Jason Wallet, I mean, we saw him kind of struggle there a little bit earlier throughout the race, but good to see him defend there. And I mean, luckily, I think he read that as a book. He knew that he was probably going to go overshoot the corner, and he thought better of it. But without that front fender, that's going to really hurt him on the front stretch.
Yeah, that was almost an airplane accident right there from Kovacs. Got really square. Oh, a bit of a drift there from Jason Wallet entering the corner, kicking that back end out. Not necessarily the fastest way around the track, but definitely looks the coolest, as it looks like Kovacs here is going to try to make a move around the outside, and he gets that move done pretty handily after almost turning Jason Wallet into a bowling pin on the entrance of Turn 1. Gets the move done safely before the chicane here.
Safely indeed, and you know who else is safe right now? A Leaf. Currently, it looks like he is... Wow, what a lead he has. He's currently... I believe he is... Yeah, 30 seconds. I just want to make sure. I see it on the scoring pylon, but I just wanted to make sure you're on track. 30 seconds is the gap a Leaf has. Now, we know that technically Jake Cummings is the... Well, if you think about it, Matthew... If a Leaf is trying to do what I think he's doing and to make it a one-stopper, the other person that's on an alternate strategy would be of Jay Cummings of Converse. I believe he's, like you said, he has to make a second stop. He's not going to make it all the way, but our Muhammad Ali, almost an hour into the stint, and if he doesn't pit this time around, I believe he's going to try and make that one stop a reality, would you say?
Yeah, I think at this point you're probably close enough to where you can make the one stop work. Jake Cummings, though, setting the fastest lap of the race just now, seeing that purple pop up on your screen now, a 1:50.401.
Wow.
That's a really good lap time from Jake Cummings. Obviously, if you're going to make the two-stop work here, you're going to have to go really fast around this track in order to make up pretty much 20 seconds from that second pit stop. As we see our Muhammad Ali here, it looks like he's pointing towards the pit lane. He's holding that inside line. Is he coming in, or is he just getting
Yeah, he is.
So our Muhammad Ali here for Ball State in the number 12 car pits at the 55-minute mark. It's going to be really tough, honestly, to make it to the end from here. If he got one more lap, I could imagine he could make it. But yeah, I think at this point that commits him to the two-stop strategy most likely.
Hold on, but hear me out, Matthew. We got Ryan Whitlock out of the Panasonic corner. Is he going to go into the pits, or maybe will he try to over pit? And it looks like the 81 driver, he is actually going into the pits too. So yeah, I think they've reached the limit. I mean, could they make it all the way to the end from here on out?
It would be really, really tough to make it to you have to do pretty heavy lift and coast for the rest of the stint. Lucas Moody, the Ball State teammate of our Muhammad Ali, he stayed out. So maybe Lucas Moody playing the alternate strategy here, trying to avoid a second pit stop as our Muhammad Ali still in the pits as the Ball State 21 takes over the lead for the first time this race.
And I mean, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, no. Like, Lucas Moody, a great, strong drive for him. But we saw him kind of struggle earlier in the race. So it's great to see him have he's going to probably do something, hopefully it's something different here, as it looks like a Leaf now out of the pits. The gap is now 12 seconds between Moody and a Leaf. And Beitzen, who stayed out, he is actually right behind a Leaf. So up into P3, but has yet to serve his pit stop. So it looks like, from what I'm seeing here, Moody and Beitzen are the only ones who are currently still out and about, and that includes, well, Ryan Whitlock has actually just entered the pits, or he's exited of the pits, so he's back into P7. But Yeah, so right now, I'd like to focus on those two drivers, Garrett Weitzen and Lucas Moody. How far can they go? And now with an hour and two left, almost an hour completed. I mean, you think if a Leaf, someone who likes to play strategy, someone who likes to push things to the edge, if he couldn't make it at least to the 1 hour mark, who's to say Lucas Moody can't do that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think maybe Lucas Moody has been a bit more conservative with the lift and coast. Maybe it's just that you have to lift and coast your entire stint, and at some
Hmm.
point it's just not worth it, and you think you can just go faster. And if you can really manage your pace and be uh, really disciplined on throttle, then you might be
He's
able to make
staying
it.
out.
And he's staying out again. So Lucas Moody,
Wow.
100% is going for the one-stop
No
strategy this
way.
race, and that honestly might just work for him. We'll have to see how this all cycles out in the end.
Mm.
Obviously, still a long way to go, but next time he gets back to the start-finish line, there'll be an hour, less than an hour to go, so he can definitely make it if he keeps this pace up. Oh, he goes way deep
Oh,
into
no.
turn one though. The,
Well, the old saying, Matthew, commentator's curse.
we'll just switch away from him. We'll go to Elise
All
and see
right,
how
okay.
he's doing.
Well, let's go to Relief because he's definitely immune to commentator's curse. But I did want to mention, if Lucas is doing this alternate strategy, right? If he's gonna stay out, the idea is that the track is gonna get faster and faster, right? We now know that based off the weather radar, I'm looking at it right now, that large band of rain has passed by. We actually have a 17% precipitation at 6:30, and here in Fuji, it's currently 6:17. So right now there is a 17% chance of rain in 12 minutes. It could be a light shower, which means another drizzle and sprinkle of rain, which does give Lucas Moody an opportunity to do more lift and coasting. But after 6:30, it's gonna be all dry. So this is gonna get interesting because from there on out, after 12 minutes, it's gonna be all dry. It looks like based off the precipitation percentage we have here using our iRacing uh, weather app.
Yeah, for sure. As we have Garrett Vinton and Alex Finnerty from Arizona State and UNC Charlotte, respectively, in the pits now, taking their pit stop, and they should be able to get to the end as well. And we'll see what Lucas. Yeah, Lucas Moody definitely coming to the pits here. He's down to the inside of
Yeah.
the track, but he's made it 1 hour on this tank of fuel. If he loads this thing to the top, he should definitely be able to make it to the end if he uh, keeps this same pace. Now, obviously, if he speeds up, isn't saving the same amount, that could impact him coming to the checkered flag at the end of this race. But we are halfway through this race now. Our Muhammad Alif has taken the lead, and he also just set the fastest lap of this race on those fresh, wet tires, a 149.235. So nearly a second quicker than the next fastest lap from Jake Cummings. So this track is definitely getting quicker.
Whew. Well, Alif, he always wants to put on that fast lap, and with those fresh tires, and now that the rain has stopped, it's going to get even better. As you note, there's still weather conditions still the same, 66 degrees, air temperature 64 degrees on track. So it's interesting. So yeah, so it looks like. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Lucas Moody has a second driver. He has a driver swap. It's gonna be Cale Davidson. Cale Davidson has now stepped into the car. They're currently P6. Connor Greer down the front straightaway, potentially gonna overtake. I know it's another 10 seconds. He's out. He has released from the pits. He's going to go out of the pits. It's gonna be a tough. Oh, he's gonna get close here as Connor Greer is gonna get past him on the front straightaway. Maybe as they're gonna go side by side into turn one. No, Connor is gonna let him have it, and Cale Davidson, P6 now. So now we got a new driver in the mix. Cale Davidson, driver swapped for Lucas Moody. So Lucas Moody, honestly, applause to him because he's put on a great show to stay out that long, and I mean that's the longest the driver has stayed out, 31 laps. As Ryan Whitlock, he pitted 2 laps earlier. So I mean Matthew, the race is on. The gap between Cale to a Leaf, I believe it is around 20. It's around, I believe, 45 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I mean, whew, it's gonna be interesting to the end.
Yeah, this will definitely be an interesting strategy between the two Ball State cars. One thing to note here is that with Cale Davidson hopping in the car, he's hopping in cold. Obviously, he doesn't know what the track conditions are like. He doesn't know what grip levels are out there. And Connor Greer is right on his tail. He's been driving this track for an hour and 3 minutes at this point. So he knows exactly where the grip levels are. He knows exactly what to expect out of the car. So Cale Davidson's he's kind of drinking through a fire hose here, trying to get all the information from the track and the grip levels, the conditions, while Greer is hassling him trying to get that sixth spot from him.
Well, I was gonna mention, not only does he have the track time, but also 5 laps on those tires, so he's got it up to speed. Oh, and a little bit of a rear spin for Cale Davidson, but still the gap 0.8 seconds down the front straightaway out of turn 16. So I believe, I mean, as much as you perhaps say that, Cale Davidson is in a pickle, I gotta say, watching him, especially in the CIO formula, he has the skill, he has got the skills to pay the bills. And I've seen him when we saw him racing in the Glen. So we'll see as let's see, this time around we have a better time lap here. So ooh, a little bit on the apron there for Cale. A minute and it looks like yeah, a minute actually. That's the interval between Cale Davidson and and the leader, his Ball State teammate of our Muhammad Ali. So 1 minute is the gap. So that is something to note, as we'll see what's Cale's true pace here when he completes this lap this time around. But throughout the course, I'm trying to see any close battles. I mean, I don't really see anything that it pops out to mind unless you see something, Matthew.
No, I think right now we're watching the closest battle on track between Connor Greer of the 03 UAH car as well as the 21 car of Ball State University, driven by the one and only Cale Davidson. Uh, Obviously, I think we're at the point in the race now where things have really settled out. The pit stops have happened. Drivers are, some of these drivers are fresh now too, so they might be a little green, trying to put down some really quick laps in their own little bubble, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so it'll be interesting to see. We'll have to get a quick rundown to see who has actually had a driver change. Looking at your timing tower, that's the wrong information. Pay no attention to that.
Well, while we're, I guess, hopefully idling by for another battle, let's take a quick short break. I'd like to do a CIL crank it up for the folks at home to really soak in, literally and figuratively, the sounds of Fuji Speedway as we are going right now. We have passed the halfway point. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Crank it up is here. Konnichiwa and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the the final round of the CIL CSC. And as you see on the left side, once again, the leader up front. Oh, and a little bit of almost a contact there between Clint Halterman and a lap car right there. But as you can see, Alif, your leader of tonight's race at the Fuji Speedway Grand Prix. And this 2-hour endurance race is almost done, folks. We are an hour and 10 in. And if you're just tuning in, welcome everybody, and welcome to the officially, I would say, the official last stream of the season in terms of our competitions. This week has kind of been our maiden week stream where we wrapped up our Cup Championship on Monday. We crowned the victor for Mario Miranda, followed by yesterday for the CIL FC, the Formula College Series. Has also wrapped up with our Muhammad Alif clinching the title even before the pace car even went to the pits. Insane. And well, he's up front in the lead. He's in first place, so we'll see if another victory for him this week. As already, and a little bit of car there, but they got rolling there. I don't think there's any issues there. But yeah, on board here with our Muhammad Alif, as it looks like there is a lap car in front of him, and he gets by easily. And that is Nick Stockner. He's gonna adhere to the blue flags, I believe, and let him by, no problem whatsoever. But yeah, Matthew, thank you so much for tuning in here with us here in the booth. Got a shout out to Matthew Norberg. He is not only commentating, but he's also producing. So big shout outs to him doing double duty tonight. And as we are on board here with Jake Cummings of Team Converse University, Matthew, we know Jake is on a different strategy. He pitted earlier than Alif. He's on 13 lap old tires, so which means that is 5 lap older compared to Alif, but Alif pitted a little bit earlier before the halfway point. So do you think he's going to be able to... Oh, we got a spin in front of Jake. Oh, no, that's Jason Wallet. And I think we are going to have our first DNF of a race. Yeah, he's wrecked out. Oh, no. Matthew, he was trying to get on the gas, and he hit that curb. He spun it around and head first into the barriers. We're gonna see on board here. Yeah, he hit that apron and the car just snapped and he held the brakes. I mean, Matthew, what can you do in that situation? Is he's trying to keep it rolling there. He's trying to get out of the way of people.
Yeah, at that point, you apparently turn on the wipers and panic. I mean, really, that's just a mental error. You can't be touching the apron of the curbs or anything that's painted in these wet conditions. And, we're an hour and 10 minutes into this race, and I think fatigue could start playing a role here. That car is toast.
But is he laying down oil? Could it be that he's leaking oil? Because that...
I mean, he could be, but the track is so wet, he probably can't even tell the difference between the oil and the water. But, I mean, there is a dry line starting to form, so maybe you can tell the difference.
There is, and I want to note that there where Jason was at before turn 16, turn 15, it's a very technical part of this track because of that uphill and the camber, but there's a dry line. But if your tires ever so slightly get off that dry line and you hit that wet spot, it just turns you around, and I've seen it happen a lot of people out of turn 15, but it's funny how you mentioned when Jason Waller was spinning out and his wipers just started turning on. That reminded me of Fernando Alonso. Whenever he starts spinning out, he just starts smashing the buttons, and his pit crew thinks, oh, is he gonna pit in? No, he just smashes some buttons. That happens when you're spinning out. And speaking of not spinning out, Ryan Whitlock trailing behind, I believe that's Clint Halterman. The battle is on for P4 as Ryan Whitlock has caught up again to Clint. And once again, these two squabbling out. We'll see if they are gonna hopefully end the race under, with not a broken car, because I know these two might entangle themselves up, Matthew.
Yeah, these two have been inseparable this race. They've pretty much been within 2 or 3 seconds of each other the entire time. They've swapped positions back and forth 3 or 4 times now. So these guys just love finding themselves on the same piece of real estate on the track. And it's providing some great entertainment for us up here in the booth. So hopefully they keep it up. Not a whole lot of other battles going on track at the moment. So definitely something to keep our eye on here, as you can really tell Ryan Whitlock, I think he's doing a better job than Halterman on his tires. We've seen this consistently throughout the race, where I think Halterman is a bit quicker in the short run, but as these tires wear, that tread goes away a little bit and the grip decreases, Whitlock's able to find a bit more pace and extract it from that Corvette than Halterman's able to extract from his Porsche. So we'll see. We see just that very wide line that Whitlock takes, almost the karting line, to carry as much speed as he can, avoiding the rubbered-in dry line, taking that wide entry. So Whitlock using that to his advantage, hoping to get a bit of a slipstream down the front stretch here and maybe make a move into turn one as we have under 45 minutes to go here in this race.
I think he's a little bit too far out to make one, but maybe if he sends in a dummy, maybe that'll cause Clint to probably shoot it too wide, as we're gonna see Ryan gets ever so close. No, he's gonna just take the conventional line. But interesting that you say about the go-karting line. I mean, and just to maybe elaborate for the viewers, what do you mean by that? In terms of, are you just trying to take a wider entry and taking a tight exit, or a tight entry and then a wider exit to get a better gas?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the corner, right? If you have such a long straightaway down after after a corner, you might want to prefer that late entry so you carry as much speed as possible down the straightaway, because that's where you're going to make most of your overtakes. You know, an early entry might make sense if you have like a sequence of corners coming up, but it all just depends on the track. Here, I think I would definitely prefer to take a wider entry and really straighten out that straightaway for the front stretch. But Ryan Whitlock still sitting in that 5th position right now, hoping to take 4th. You see him use all that curb in these slow speed corners. It's definitely a dangerous move.
That's off track though. Was that a little bit off track, would you say? Because you can only imagine how many penalties, or not penalties, but incident points you got.
It might be off track, but Muhammad Alif up in the lead right now, just at another fastest lap. So this track definitely is getting quicker, even as these tires wear a little bit. So definitely some drying out is occurring at the moment. You see that wide entry and that late apex again from Ryan Whitlock, trying to get on that power as fast as possible and steam past the 077 of Halterman up in front. We'll see if he can get it done this time for UAH.
I mean, now that there's a dry line on the left side of the track, you can see it now on the stream. That lighter patch, that's the dry. So, Ryan is going to send it onto the inside. Side by side, Claire Halterman, Ryan Whitlock, as Whitlock is going to try and lock in onto the inside, and he's going to try and stay there. He doesn't hit the apron. Oh, and Clint goes a little bit wide. I think he got on the gas a little bit too much, gets on the apron, and he misses out on the position, and Ryan Whitlock moves up into P4. What a move for the University of Alabama Huntsville.
Yeah, a great move, and I think it was a very opportunistic move. I don't think Clint was expecting that, to be honest. I think he kind of sent a little bit of a dive bomb down there from the Corvette of Ryan Whitlock, and Clint kind of just had to concede and maybe got a little wider than he was hoping to be. Got in the gas too early, but still a very great move, a very clean move, and respectful racing between these two drivers.
Well, it's really, that's the thing I love about these drivers. And, you know, you have a lot of rivalries throughout the series and even outside of here. But, you know, when you drive with respect and you put on a show for the folks at home and for us here in the booth, it's just incredible. And why CIO is great. And so, and speaking of great, we got another battle here, which is great for the battle for P12. I believe that's versus Hunter Hassie and Arpad Kovacs. So JPU versus... it looks like it's going to be Team Clemson, and Team Clemson on the inside there, and Hunter is not going to defend much, and Arpad takes it deep in, and he's going to be able to hold on as JPU moves up into P12. What a move right there through turn 16 out of the Panasonic corner, but maybe I'm speaking a little bit too soon. Oh, but behind them, Clint Halterman is going to go into the pits, it looks like.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice from Clint Halterman. I'm not quite...
Dry tires? Do I hear dry tires?
No, it's definitely way too early for dry tires. I wonder if he only partially fueled the car earlier, knowing that he'd have to stop the rest of the race from when he pitted. I believe he pitted on... I think it was about 40 minutes into this race, so he might just be trying to split it up into thirds equally. So he pits 40 minutes in, 40 minutes in, and 40 minutes in. 40, well, 80, you know.
Oh! He put on the dries!
There's
I'm
no
actually
way.
seeing it. His so I mean we can't see it here on the live stream, but I'm here on the track up in the booth. I just saw his crew brought out the dry slick tires.
There's no way.
I just saw all his pit crew has come out. and they put on the dries. Clint Halteman, a dangerous decision perhaps,
Oh my
has
gosh.
put on the dry tires, folks. He is going to go head first down into turn 1. Well, oh, we gotta watch here. Oh
Oh
man,
no.
he's gonna take it here, but there's a dry patch, and you know what? I like this. I really like this bold move from the crew chief, and it's got to be a decision by the driver, Matthew, because it's definitely a risk, but a risk worth taking, right? Because how much time can you really gain with those drives? Let's take a moment to really dissect this. A Leaf last time around has a 148, and he is currently 8 seconds behind Clint Halteman. So Clint Halteman currently the last car on the lead lap. So we'll see this time around. It's a little bit too early because he has to get these tires up to standard. And oh, we got a little bit of a driving kerfuffle on the radio, but Matthew, you seem surprised. I mean, I saw the crew chief just say pit in this time. He didn't say he didn't say if they're gonna put on dry tires, but the crew members just bought out those dry slicks with those warm blankets to try to keep them as warm as possible. And he's gonna make a move there on the inside of Kelton Quick. Oh man! So the Ball State driver holding on to the UNC Charlotte, and it looks like wow, he sent it in deep, but he's on the wet line. But he's gonna go back onto the dry. He's gonna get he's gonna put the hammer down on the gas, and he's actually gonna go onto the outside. He's gonna stick it onto the outside. Oh, but he gets into the wets. He's off the dry line, and that's gonna compromise it. So
Yeah.
Matthew, could it be too much of a risk right now?
I mean, he was definitely making up time on Kelton Quick in that 66 car, but we just saw the biggest downside of those dry tires right now is that if you get off that racing line, you have absolutely no grip. You can barely control that car. Obviously, it looked like he was, doing pretty well on his outlap, and obviously these tires are not quite up to temperature quite yet. But we can see the difference in cornering speed
Wow.
between it was probably maybe 8-9 tenths of a second going into turn one.
He's gonna let him by.
Yeah.
Wow, I got respect for Kelton Quick right there. He knows that Clint has those dry tires. He most likely knows, and he does not want to impede on his race. He knows that this is a chance for him to win, because look at the speed. Look at that. He's got 2 seconds. 2 seconds in that sector against Kelton Quick, and he gained 2 seconds on a Leaf.
Yeah, I think everybody's about
Wow.
to see this, and they're going to see the fastest lap time drop by potentially 3 seconds.
Ooh.
And
Well,
they're instantly going to
wow.
be a mad dash to the pits. I think I was very shocked to see Halterman into the pits this early. Maybe another 20 minutes in, I could see it happening. But, especially here, look, there's so little spray coming off those tires on the rear in this sector. Like this low-speed sector where you might,
Well, you think about this, Matthew. All these low-speed sectors are when you're dragging the brakes, and there's a lot of heat going into these corners. But this is the part that I'm afraid for these drivers. That's turn 15. There's no dry line still, but turn 16, there is. You see that there's a little bit of a light drizzle there, but that's the problem with the Panasonic corner. It's really a lot of it is not heavy braking on the exit, but once you get on the power here on the front straightaway. So you said 3 to 4 seconds. I'm going to say 6 seconds. He's going to have a faster lap time. So we'll see here as he crosses the line here for UNC Charlotte, the alumni driver here. 1:45.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was
That's 5 seconds faster than the average lap time, but we know a Leaf had a 1:48, but 5
Yeah,
seconds.
that's pretty much 3 seconds on the dot quicker than the fastest lap time set by a Leaf only a couple laps ago on lap 43. We are now on lap 46.
Wow.
So 3 laps later, 3 seconds is the difference between wet and dry tires. And so if you are anybody else in the field right now, you have to be seeing this and thinking, okay, I have to get on the dry tires now. And maybe they're just not getting that information relayed to them, or maybe they're just not at the pits yet. But Clint Halterman is absolutely flying right now on these dry
Wow.
tires.
I mean, that's incredible. Oh, he goes a little bit
Oh.
off wide, and that's also that's the risk. You said it right. Once you get off the dry line, you're done for. The car just has no grip with those slicks, and I mean, this is insane. I mean, when you said that he was pitting in, I truly thought he was just trying to do a gas and go. But I saw them lift the car. I saw them bring out those dry tires, and it's just, I mean. Is it paying off? We'll see, because he did lose a lot of time there in that middle sector, but he's still if I remember here, he had a 10-second gap onto a leaf when he crossed the start finish line last time around, and right now he's only 9 seconds. So he currently lost a second to a leaf, but he might make it back up here out of the corner. It's Kale Davidson went to the pits. We got drivers into the pits.
Yeah, and
They're
notice
bringing it
Ball
down to pit
State.
road.
Our Muhammad Leaf stayed out. Converse University, he's in the pits on dry tires. FIU, Robert Kiesel Jr., he's still on wet tires. UAH 03, that's Greer, he's still on the wet tires.
Ooh,
So
we've got it. Yeah, wow. That's look at the if we look at the scoring tape pylon on the left side, you've got Jake Cummings, you've got Clint Halterman, you've got and you've got Ryan Whitlock on those. No, wait, did Ryan Whitlock? Yeah, Ryan Whitlock also got those dry tires on. So right now the top three staying out with those wets. That's a Leaf, but a Leaf now has just pitted in. So your race leader is now going to pit in with those for those fresh dry tires. Oh, and we got a spin. It looks like for P11, that's our pod. He spun out of the. It looks like he spun out of the hairpin, but Jay Cummings now. I mean, think about this. This paid off for Clint. Clint, I believe he was 25 seconds off of Jay Cummings and Connor Greer. Now the gap between between Jake and Clint is now down to 13 seconds. So Clint going in early with those tires, perhaps a little bit risky. He's cut down the gap between himself and Jake by half length. So now 12 seconds now the gap.
yeah, it's been and obviously Jake Cummings got held up pretty significantly there by Greer out of UAH. Greer still on those wet tires, currently in the, I guess, third place now after being overtaken. He's going to come into the pits, obviously. He knows it's time for the...
Oh, no. He stayed out.
Oh, he stayed out. Oh, okay. That's...
And look at that. I mean, we mentioned this while we were on break, and I pointed you out. Look at the line he's taking. He's not taking the dry line. He's on the rain. He's trying to really cool down the tires, because now with those treads, right, with those wet tires, they overheat, and when you overheat, you lose so much grip. So in order to really sustain the tire life, you have to go on to the wet side of the track to try to cool them down with the rain, because they're wet tires. They need wetness. They need the rain to live on. As you see, another fast lap by Clint Halterman, and to be honest, I would say, Matthew, Clint has an advantage in the situation because he has experience racing on those dry tires. Currently, the gap between Clint Halterman now, he is currently, I believe he is now, if I'm not mistaken, he's only 2 seconds behind Robert. So he's currently gaining time here as he's trying to make quick work of the lap cars in front of him, as he is about to he makes the pass on Alex Fornetti onto the inside down the hill as they go out of turn 9 into turn 10 for the hairpin. The gap ever so closer as Clint once again cutting down the deficit. But man, now that I'm seeing it, a Leaf, his first lap, it looks like he is going to now show us the true potential now, as he has clean air up ahead.
Yeah, and one thing to note that Clint Halterman in that 5th position right now is catching up to Robert Kiesel Jr. up in front of him quickly, right? Clint Halterman, he understands what these dry tires can do in these conditions right now. He's got his dry tires up to temperature. He's been on this track for 3-4 laps on the dry tires. Robert Kiesel Jr. I think he's on his out lap for his dry tires, so he's still trying to learn and bring those tires up to temperature. And we can really see that dry line is really defined now in the front straightaway. And Clint Halterman, he's within 1.3 seconds of Kiesel Jr. Halterman's going to gun for a podium here, potentially.
Potentially, indeed. And you saw Connor Greer has went into the pits, and you might say the crew chief probably did not do a good job pulling him in this late, because you see almost all the drivers, except for him, now that he's in the pits. But you got Arpad, Evan Main, Jason Waller, he's been in the pits for a while. He's still trying to fix up the car, and Preston Pretzloff, who I believe has also been out of this race. But yeah, you're right. Clint Halterman has a shot, and look at that. He takes the dry line. Robert Kiesel Jr., it spins! He tried to overcome that deficiency of being on those dry tires, and he's going to have to back it down. Oh, he almost gets... Oh, he's going to have to... Oh, watch out! He's going to... Oh, that's not going to be great for the stewards post-race, and it looks like he's going to have a unsafe return, and that is going to scare. Wow, that was not a smart move, Matthew.
No, that was very sketchy. And Ryan Whitlock, you can see he made avoiding action to avoid Kiesel Jr. And he then proceeded to get onto the wet stuff, the paint on the dry tires, and he was dramatically slow. He almost wrecked just by being off the dry line. So super sketchy moment there for those drivers. We'll get a replay of that here, and
Yeah, look at that.
touching the paint, spins it around. Does a good job to avoid the wall here. Yeah, it doesn't look like he hits the wall, but I think he just freaks out and just gasses it up to get back on the track. And you could look at Whitlock in that yellow Corvette. He's on the paint. He's out there. He's lost a ton of time.
But that's how much time you lose being off track because he had no grip. But if we go back here on the live, look at that. He's caught up, and I know Ryan is not happy with Robert, so he want to make quick work. But because of this dry tires, it's going to be really a chance for it to go to the inside, but he will. Ryan Whitlock sends it into the inside. He's going to send it deep, but no!
Oh, it's way too deep.
Oh, hydroplanes. He's going to hydroplane out there, and he's going to have to get it going, but he loses a spot to a lap car of Alex Frenetti right in front of him, and now the gap between him and Robert from 0.1 second to 3.3.
Look at that new fastest lap of the race from Cale Davidson. He just set a pretty good lap time of a 1:44.528. So yeah, these drivers are now lapping about half a second quicker, about 5-6 seconds quicker than they were lapping on the wet tires. And yeah, it's definitely been a frantic last couple of laps as the switchover point has occurred, and only a couple of drivers on the lead lap still at this point.
Oh, spinner again. Preston Pritzloff has spun out, but in front of Jay Cummings. Jay Cummings almost got entangled up there, and Pritzloff. Oh, he almost took out Clint Holtzman. Oh my, that is not once again a great. We're not seeing a good rate of rejoins here, but I mean, before I get off topic, I do want to mention people from the chat. We got Ronnie saying, "Let's go, Connor." We got Silva saying, "Let's go, Kel." Tempest in the chat saying, "That difference in speed is insane." Indeed, that's just how much there is in terms of the dry and the wet tires. And you've got Drew in the chat going, "Countdown to a Fraudman moments." I believe he's trying to say Clint Holtzman Fraudman. Interesting. Never heard that name before, but man, oh man, Clint Holtzman in P3, as it looks like Robert Kiesel Jr. So we know he went off the track, and so that means a top 3, a podium finish for Clint, and that's if Drew does not jinx him from the chat. But as we see, Garrett Weitzen trying to make quick work in front of him, and that is going to be the driver of that is for ASU. He's going to try and maybe hopefully get back up there against Jacob Dick. But Evan Main we saw there, but Garrett Weitzen, we're going to go back on to him. And so the Sun Devil driver, he actually had a fair share of a lot of frustration this race. He's not been really happy over the driver radio, I can tell you that, as he's really up to the bumper behind Jacob Dick. So it looks like he has the potential with those dry tires. It looks like maybe rain was not his suit, but now his race has now come alive, and he's trying to make quick work and maybe hopefully get up to a top 5.
Yeah, a lot of action here. Preston Pretzloff, I think, has just spun again. So is he still on wet tires? He is still on wet tires, so maybe he should get on the dry tires. I think that might help with some speed. I don't know. I guess if you're trying to be really safe about it, maybe the wet tires are the safer option, but who knows? As Garrett Vitten here just been lapped by Jake Cummings. Clint Holtzman about 9 seconds behind Jake Cummings. I think that gap has come down slightly over the past couple laps, but not significantly. So things have started to stabilize here after pit stops over to the dry tire. Cale Davidson still with your fastest lap of the race right now in that 21 Ball State car. Right now he's right behind, I think that's Connor Greer in front of him, or Preston Pritzloff. One of the... Yeah, it's Preston Pritzloff.
I believe so. It's yeah, so he's going to move to the side. I mean... It's really interesting to see. Yeah, these drivers are not going on the drives, but right there in front of you see the battle. Cale Davidson is trying to get past. Oh, he does. He lights up his headlights. He says, "I'm here, buddy. Move away. Don't ruin my race." And oh, close calamity as Garrett Weitzen nearly runs into Jay Cummings. Jay Cummings goes off the track out of turn 16. What is going on? As a lot of the drivers throughout the course are right now going off track, as we see on board here with Cale Davidson. As in the background, you see there the battle between those two drivers is, I mean, the track is ramping up now.
Yeah, definitely so. Oh, Ryan Whitlock going for a little bit of an adventure in. Oh, something happened there. I think with the Minnesota State car as Muhammad Leaf sets the fastest lap. Let's see. Let's get a replay of this.
There's a lot going on as we're on board here with Evan Main of Minnesota State University. And oh yeah, oh look at those drivers. Look at even the front two drivers. They went off the track. Wow.
Oh no.
Oh,
don't back up anymore.
He thought twice about it. I'd say, well, he's
I think this is what happened to Whitlock here. I think Whitlock got spooked by something about to happen from Evan Main.
Probably. Let's see here.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe as Ryan Whitlock. You could say that Ryan Whitlock, he got a little bit of a PTSD from when Robert spun out in front of him. So when he saw a pair of headlights in front of him, he goes, "Not today," and decided to take a nice wide exit. But yeah, that does explain why Ryan Whitlock fell off there in terms of timing. But in terms of timing, we have now reached 3/4 of this race. It's now been an hour and a half past, and now we have 23.5 minutes left as the race is now not only ramping up, but it's technically has now simmered down, Matthew. I'm looking at the track map. Everyone has now kind of separated and strung out here.
Yeah, they really have. I think we're getting into the home stretch here, the final 20 minutes of this race. There's probably, maybe, I don't know, 15 laps to go, 12. I can't do math in my head. All right. I'm not a math major. That's okay.
It's been a long race.
It has been a long race.
Major.
Oh, shoot. Oh, okay.
Ooh,
a bit of
a close hit.
Yeah, I almost said something I'm not supposed to say on air there.
That's James.
Oh!
Oh no! As Ryan Whitlock took the wet line, and he's gonna keep falling back.
Just hit the brakes,
buddy. Oh, he saved the car, but that means, oh no! As it looks like Cale Davidson is gonna pass by. He's falling down the leaderboard. Connor Greer is gonna soon enough. He's only 10 seconds behind. He's gotta get it going, and Connor Greer is gonna. Oh no, that's not Connor Greer. I believe.
Connor Greer is a little further back still, but
he's
wow.
a little further back. That is.
Replay
here.
Look
at that. Would you say, Matthew, is that just desperation to try to get around the lap car?
I think a little bit. I think maybe he just lost where he was in the track. It's so hard to tell. Like, I think you got to be a bit more patient there, given that you had a pretty big gap to the car behind and the car in front. Clint Halterman just really took advantage of those dry tires and turned the battle that was that pretty much raged for the first 100 minutes of this race between him and Ryan Whitlock, and he took charge and decided that he was gonna take over the 4th spot, and then eventually 3rd spot as well. So maybe Ryan Whitlock a little bit of frustration, losing out on that battle with Clint Halterman. But you got to be more patient than that, and especially at this stage in the race, where there's 20 minutes left. There's 5 or 6 seconds to the car ahead, 5 or 6 seconds to the car behind. You can lose a tenth, 2 tenths here or there, and it can be okay.
Well, in terms of just time loss, I mean, it really is a lot of time to gain and a lot of time to lose, as we have now about to hit the 20-minute mark. And speaking of 20-minute mark, I mean, since we know these drivers got those dry tires on, I'm pretty sure they also topped off on fuel, right? So I don't expect any more pit stops from here on out.
If they do pit from here on out, then their crew chief should not have a job tomorrow morning. That's all I'm gonna say.
10-4. Well, that's a really great race insight, as it looks like Ryan Whitlock passes another, I believe that is a lap car who went off the track there. Oh, and we have another spin. Oh, that's Garrett Weitzen in P9. He spun it out of the Panasonic corner. He's pointing upwards. He's going to back it up. He's in P9. He has time to get it going, but behind him are 2 drivers. It's Preston Pretzloff. It takes amazing maneuvers. And that's gonna be Robert Kessel Jr. in 4th place. He's gonna go through the gap through the middle, and he gets it going. But yeah, that was close call there, and it looked like it was out of the Panasonic corner that Garrett he hit. I believe he went on the bumps.
Oh man!
Honestly,
I can't say. I
Yeah.
can't say I've ever seen a car up on that part of the track before.
But in all honesty, that's a good way for him to really lose it out there because what isn't it easier to brake going uphill rather than going downhill?
Yeah, it reminds me of those like emergency stop like runoff ramps in the mountains for
Oh,
tractor
for the
trailers.
trucks. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Except instead of a 20-ton or however much tractor trailers weigh,
Of like
like
of sand.
of sand or whatever, it is a 2,500-pound Ferrari. Probably a little easier to stop, I got to admit, but
Well, I don't know if the Fuji Speedway had that in mind, but I mean, it worked out in Garrett's favor. He was able to slow it down and didn't hit the track or didn't hit the barriers. But speaking of hitting the barrier, a Leaf breaking the barrier, another fast lap, 1:41. This man is on a mission now that we've hit the sub 20-minute mark. And we got another spin out of the Panasonic corner. That's Kelton Quick. Kelton Quick is now in front of Jake Cummings. Oh, and he gets almost, I don't know about that. He was quick to get on the gas, but I don't know if he thought
there's
Jake.
damage in the front of that Porsche.
Yeah, I don't know if he thought that Jake was gonna stay on the outside there, but as Jake Cummings had to take evasive maneuvers and Kelton Quick, as he was a lap down his teammate of Ball State. Oh, that's the same mistake that's the same thing that Garrett
Oh,
did.
that's a hard
Except this
hit.
time. Oh man, that's like the bad ending of what happened to Garrett, where instead of going off the off ramp on the outside, he took the inside. That's it's going downhill and locking up those tires. Just not enough grip, and you saw him hit the barrier. That's unfortunate there for Kelton Quick.
Yeah, I think what happened there before, I think Garrett Vinton probably realized early on in that corner that he was not going to make it or he was going to lose traction on the exit. Bailed out early, went over those sausage curbs, and then just kind of accepted his fate on the outside of the track. I think maybe Kelton Quick was trying to fight it too much, maybe trying to just do what the car wasn't willing to do and grip up on the outside of the circuit and put the power down. And as a result, he could once he started spinning, he had no control over if he was going outside, inside. Luckily, there wasn't a car on the inside of him or coming up on the inside, and he only hit the wall and he didn't hit another car. Hopefully, there's no wheel damage. That would be a tough one to deal with. I think he could probably survive with a bunch of front end damage like he has now, but we'll have to see.
Well, we'll have to see indeed, as really the track is now getting faster and faster. I mean, a Leaf with the 141, that's like the biggest jump I've seen in terms of lap time. But behind Kelton Quick, that is his teammate. Oh, and he squabbles a little bit, but he's going to let him by. And so far, as you see, the 07, so I believe
Clint Halterman.
Oh, no, that's Glenn Halterman. I'm sorry, that is not his teammate. But you could say maybe good respectful drivers on the track as he does let him by for P3. So Clint Halterman, what could have been a disastrous there, maybe a little bit of unfortunate, but he prevails the commentator's curse. He still is in P3 with 16 minutes left in the race, as we believe we had another spin in the back. That was Nick Stockner. No, he got it rolling, so he's fine. He's in P16 currently. I'm trying to see any battles on the field, and it looks like I don't see anything currently, as a Leaf actually has a little bit of lap traffic in front of him. He currently has Connor Greer. He is the last car on the lead lap for P7. So if Connor gets passed by a Leaf, that means there's only 6 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, it's down to 16 minutes left, so what do we
Another
got?
fast lap.
Yeah, 141. Wow. Things are really getting quick here.
Quick indeed, and I mean, unfortunately, wow, Evan Main almost spins it in front of a Leaf, as you see right there, folks, as a Leaf puts on the blinkers, he's going to let him by on the outside there out of the Coca-Cola corner. But yeah, I mean, the track ever so much faster, and just to reiterate, there's no more rain forecasted for the rest of this race duration. This is dry to the end, as a little bit wide there, Hunter Hasty, Connor Greer goes wide, so he's been lapped by a Leaf, which means only 6 cars on the lead lap. So the chances of a Leaf lapping another car actually is not that far off, as it looks like it's Ryan Whitlock up ahead by 18.3 seconds. So Ryan Whitlock in P6 has the chance of being lapped down by a Leaf with now 15 minutes left in this race. I mean, Matthew, do you think this could be a potential here, or hopefully Ryan stays on the lead lap?
We'll have to see. What's that gap? We'll switch since I'm in charge of the production and commentary, I can switch it over to see what the gap is to the leader. So he's got, what, that's 20 seconds, 23 seconds from a Leaf to Whitlock to lap him at his current pace. Yes. So there's probably about 10 laps left at this point. So I would say no. I think Whitlock, his last lap time was a 1:42.6. So he's probably about a second a lap slower, maybe, give or take, depending on traffic.
Well, that the last lap before that lap, he was a second off of a Leaf, but this time around, only 0.2 off the pace. So it's kind of been fluctuating in and out. The gap right now, 17.5 seconds. So, I mean, it really has to take a really bad luck for Ryan Whitlock to really lock himself out of the lead lap by perhaps hitting maybe the apron, taking it a little bit too wide. And I'm pretty sure the CSC director would like to stay on the lead lap in his own race. But I mean, yeah, we have only, I believe, yeah, we only have 13 minutes left. So would you say we have around 10? You said 10 laps, right? 10 to 9 laps left. In this,
probably right now. I think we're sitting at 8 or 9 laps. Yeah, I think probably 9 laps, I'd say.
The math is mathing. Yes, sir, indeed. And so up ahead, as we see, there's a little bit of a traffic jam, actually. It's behind Cale Davidson. You've got Arpad, Preston Pretzloff, Ryan Whitlock, Alex Fernetti, and Hunter Hasty. Now, here's the interesting part. While a Leaf is catching up, and you see that's Cale Davidson. Behind Cale Davidson is Alex Fernetti. Behind Alex Fernetti is Hunter Hasty. So Hunter is trying to still hunt himself into the top 10. We saw him kind of get a little squirrely, and due to pit stops, he has lost 10th place to Alex, but the gap is not that far off. Last time around, Hunter 2 seconds fast, actually 3 seconds faster than Alex. As Ryan Whitlock has gone off the track, and he's gonna go back on the track. Oh no, he lost 3 seconds in that whole ordeal.
Whitlock, you gotta chill out, man. You only got 12 and a half minutes left. Just keep the black stuff on the rubber, or the rubber on the black stuff.
I mean, I was gonna ask you, Matthew, if you were his crew chief, what would you be telling to your driver?
The big thing is smooth is fast and fast is smooth, right? You want to be smooth, and this is so important in the wet, because if you're, slamming the brakes in the wet, cranking the wheel, you're gonna have zero grip, zero traction. The key to wet and low grip driving is being, at least on road racing. This doesn't necessarily apply to all forms of racing on iRacing. The key is to be smooth and to be controlled and not be jerky. Obviously, he has 2 lapped cars in front of him that he wants to get by, and it's so tough with how wet the track is off the dry line of trying to overtake them. But you just got to be patient, right? There's no point. Flash your headlights all you want. See, he got into the curbing there, and he got onto the power too quick. Maybe just, if I was his crew chief... Oh, spin ahead of him!
That's Preston Pretzloff. Oh, and he spun out Hunter Hasty. Through goes Ryan Whitlock into P6. Well, for now, he hasn't really gone in any positions, but he through goes Ryan Whitlock. He at least avoids that wreck potentially.
Well, we have a battle up here for the second place. Clint Halterman, something has happened to Jake Cummings. I don't know what happened. I don't see anything in our timing tower to reflect that maybe he spun or anything, but Jake Cummings is now under pressure from Clint Halterman.
Yeah, well, just to let you know, just an update for the top 10. Hunter has now been up into the top 10, so Hunter is up into the top 10, but you got to note that, Jake Cummings, something must have happened. He must have taken it really wide, or as you saw nearly what happened with Ryan Whitlock, lap traffic. I mean, it could happen, and from what I've seen on the track map right now, ahead of Jake Cummings. Oh, and he takes it really wide, but Clint Halterman takes the inside. I think Clint is really capitalizing these dry conditions, or semi dry conditions, and he's actually been gaining time on Jake Cummings. I haven't really seen any errors from Jake Cummings. I think this is purely Clint just putting on the drive of his life. Not only getting a top 3, but perhaps a runner-up finish tonight.
Yeah, last time by, Clint was about 4/10 of a second quicker. So it might have just been over the last 10 laps. He's clicking away a half second here, a half second there, and it adds up over the course of 20, 30, 40 minutes. And Jake, maybe he was in cruise control mode, and now all of a sudden he realizes he's got a Porsche of the UNCC driver of Clint Halterman in his mirror, and he's like, "Oh shoot, I gotta step on the gas again. I gotta find where I'm quick. Gotta maximize my speed in the places Clint's slow." And there's gonna be a little bit of poking and prodding to figure out where one driver is faster than the other and where you might have an opportunity to make an overtake. But we'll have to see.
Well, in terms of overtake, Ryan Whitlock has overtaken P12 of Arpad Kovacs. He's going to send it into turn one. No! Arpad sends it in! I'm sorry, but lap car, what are you doing? He sent it in on the inside. It looked like he was going to back off and let Ryan Whitlock have it, and now he is going to let him have it. But that is such a big loss time for Ryan Whitlock. Now the gap, 1.2 seconds on a Leaf. But yeah, let's focus on this battle as Halterman through 15 up into the Panasonic corner. I think Halterman has a better line through 16. Once again, I think what Jake is doing is he has a wider entry, but he's trying to get a better exit speed, would you say?
Yeah, you got to really maximize your exit speed down on that front stretch because this turn one is the #1 overtaking opportunity. So if you can defend into that corner, carry a little bit of extra speed down the straightaway, it's definitely beneficial to.
I'm sorry, Garrett Weitzen almost Cale Davidson had contact. As that was really close for comfort. So Garrett ran off the track a little bit there as he rejoined. It was a blind corner. Cale Davidson almost got into the back of him. But speaking of which, I'm sorry to ignore this battle. Clint Halterman, he's gonna do the switcheroo move. Jay Cummings goes off wide into the air. And almost cuts into Clint Halterman. Matthew, Clint up into P2. Can you believe it?
Yeah, this has been a really good race from Clint Halterman. I think he's played the strategy. Oh, he's onto the curbs. Oh, he might give. Ooh.
No! Once again, Clint Halterman fumbled the bag here, and Jay Cummings makes the pass again. But we know Clint has a pace. Still, 7 minutes and 30 seconds. The gap is not that far off. There is still a chance, and we're not coping because there is. Oh, it's never over till it's over. Right, and so for Clint, that was a big mistake there. But Jake Cummings also another mistake he did earlier. So now he's got to lock in against Clint. I mean, if you're his crew chief, what would you be telling your driver in this situation, Matthew?
I mean, the big thing right now is just to gather it up and spin the next couple corners, calming yourself down. You know you have the pace. You overtook him once, you can do it again. Riding on board down the straightaway with Clint Halterman, we can see that gap is pretty substantial now. It's at a 1.5 seconds. So,
but look in front of Jake. It's Evan Main and Nick Stockner. He's got lap traffic, and we know the last time there's a battle and lap traffic was ahead of the two drivers battling it out, something always happens. So as they go down the front straightaway, down into turn one, I mean, yeah, you've got Evan Main and Nick Stockner holding him up, and look at that, Clint Halterman. He had a 3 second deficit to Jake. Now only down to 1.3.
Yeah, down into this sector. Last lap, it was a pretty poor sector for Jake Cummings, and so hopefully he can get through here a little bit quicker than he did last time. Looks like he navigates it pretty well. Now Clint, he's going to have a pretty good middle sector here. We're running out of laps at this point. 6 minutes left. That's probably, what, 4 laps at this point, depending on where a Leaf is on track.
Oh, we got a car in front. We got a car in front that's about to rejoin the track. Oh, close call there, but that's not going to be great for. Ooh, Clint has to take the outside lane. He went on the wet area. Wow, Clint sent it on the outside. That was a dangerous. We know what it's like to not drive on the dry line, but I mean, he's right there. Matthew, he has a shot.
Yeah, Clint had a really good chicane there. We can see just how much curb he's taking, and his car is really compliant.
Jake Cummings almost got into the back of the lap car. He slides in. They make contact as Jake Cummings makes the pass, but through goes Clint Halterman back up into P2. What a drive off to turn 16 and out of the Panasonic corner, and through goes Clint Halterman up into the P2 spot. And Jake Cummings, he's not going to give up now. He's going to get on the gas once again. The gap 0.7 seconds down the front straightaway. Matthew, this just got interesting.
Yeah, that lap car was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I think Jake feeling the pressure from behind, knowing Clint is probably a bit quicker in these conditions right now, tried to get that move done as fast as possible on the lap car. Unfortunately, didn't really pan out here. We see he sends it down the inside. Looks like the lap car does a pretty decent job of like trying to give Jake Cummings space.
But
Obviously,
if you can rewind it back and if you can watch it from a different angle, you see that the lap car, he hit the sausages. That caused him to slow in front of Jake. Jake had to take evasive maneuvers, but it kind of distracted him. He didn't take his correct line, and then he went over the apron. And as you said, right, that's not the grippy lane you want to be on, and that's all she wrote. Like, look at that. That's really just a driver error, and that catapulted Clint up into P2.
yeah, I can't say I put any blame on the lap car there. I think that's just Jake.
Bad timing.
Yeah, just bad timing, bad spot on the track. Jake knowing he's got to get the move done. The lap car did everything right. He held his line. He was allowing, obviously, as the lap car, you aren't obligated to, just like pull over and like stop to let a car by. Obviously, if you're multiple laps down, then that you should let them by. But I don't think there was anything from the lap car there that was egregiously, preventing Jake from making that pass. I think Jake just got a little deep, the low grip, wet track, and slid out onto the curbs where he just couldn't get the power down.
Well, speaking of putting down the power, Clint Halterman, now the gap, 1.1. Oh, and it looks like something happened with Ryan Whitlock. He frustration on the radio. Oh, he gets tagged behind by Preston Pritzloff. He's not happy with him. It looked like he actually gave him the bumper into the corner. But Ryan Whitlock was actually being battled by a lap car. Oh, wow. That was a disaster almost unfolding there. And yeah, no, that frustration for Ryan Whitlock as not only does he get lapped by a Leaf, he almost gets tangled up by a lap car deciding to give him the fight of his life as if it matters. I don't know, Preston, if that's the right move, buddy. With these laps winding down, I would not want to add myself to an incident report. And speaking of incident report, I think a Leaf, with 2 minutes and 30 seconds, the gap now almost a minute. Is there a shot something could happen, you think?
Yeah, there's not a chance. Unless a Leaf somehow finds himself in Barry R on the outside of turn 1, then there's no way that Clint's going to be able to catch up 2 minutes and potentially 2 laps. I think a Leaf has just started. I think the penultimate laps will have this lap and then one more lap when he gets back to the start finish line. So we expect to see the white flag the next time a Leaf crosses the line.
Well, all good things must come to an end, and this race is about to complete its 2-hour mark as a Leaf now he's rounding about from the hairpin. He's going down into turn 9, into the bus stop, or I should say turn 10, in the Dunlop corner through 11 and 12. So you would say that this time around the white flag?
Yeah, we'll get back to. There's under a minute 40 left, and so when our Muhammad Alif gets back to the start finish line, they'll show him the white flag because that lap he'll.
Oh, spin in front. Garrett Weitzen spun it in front of him. Nick Stockner right in front of him too. Wow, Alif kind of got a little squirrely there. He got a little bit nervous there. But yeah, so Nick Stockner is going to move to the side there. And as you said, with now almost less than a minute when he crosses the line, we'll see what Barry the Flagman will do here, as we'll see from race control. I believe that is not the white flag.
Yep, there it is. He's waving it. There it is in the background. White flag.
You're right. White flag. Well, folks, if you're just tuning in, welcome. And, well, it's about to wrap things up here for the 2-hour race here at the Fuji Speedway Grand Prix. The final round of the CIL CSC, as the white flag has been taken by yours truly, our Muhammad Alif. And just to give a little bit of a background, the man, the myth, the legend, he has won and clinched the overall and the student driver championship for the CIL FC last night at COTA. And tonight, he may as well run it back again, and he's going to finish and roundabout here with nearly a minute of the lead. A minute of the lead is insane. as he's going downhill out of 9 into the Dunlop corner into turn 10. Oh, we got a car out the track in front of him. In front of him, it might be a lap car. Yeah, it looked like it was, but he got it rolling, so it's fine. So Alif, a few more corners to go up the hill into turn 14 and 15 as he's gonna round about the final corner. That's gonna be turn 16, the Panasonic corner. And for the final time, Matthew, we're gonna crown ourselves the last winner of the CIL competition of this semester of fall 2024. Our Muhammad Alif of Ball State University. The number 12 car, he is going to win it here at the Fuji Speedway Grand Prix for the final round of the CIL CSC, and he's going to take it home for Ball State.
Yeah.
All behind him a while back is going to be Clint Halterman, but well, it's gonna take a while for Clint to cross the line. So, what were you gonna say, Matthew?
I would say a fantastic race from Alif, controlled from start to finish. Probably got a little bored at some points, but either way, a fantastic performance from the Ball State driver. Dominance all year. Definitely a well-earned victory and a fantastic race from him.
Well, to be honest, as much as it's boring to be leading, of course, I mean, if I was in his shoe, I'd be ecstatic with the domination. But yeah, maybe a little bit bored, but you saw all those lap traffic, all that caused him to really be aware. So I don't think he was bored all the time. And speaking of someone who's definitely not bored, UNC Charlotte, your alumni driver and your alumni winner of the race, it's going to be Clint Halterman, the 077, crossing the line, and he is going to take home second place. A great battle for him as he has really fought his way through. Started P6 up into P2 with Jay Cummings rounding about for Team Converse. He is the number 95 is going to round about the podium, the last podium of the race in P3. And with that, last car to cross the line, that's Robert Kessel Jr. in P4. He's going to round about. And for P5 is Cale Davidson right behind him as he takes the line. And that's it. Matthew, that's the final lead car lap. Only 5 cars finished on the lead lap. So with Cale Davidson missing a front bumper, and he's going to send it in. Oh, and he sends it back. And looks like the gravel does its job. He's going to keep him secure there. But AMR safety team going to go out there. And with that, Matthew, that is the end of the race. And it looks like, oh, who is that? That is Kelton Quick, giving him a little bit of a tap there. I think he's trying to get the car flipped over. But yeah, 5 cars, Matthew. 5 cars only on the lead lap. What a domination by Alif.
Yeah, a fantastic race from Alif. There's a really good fight behind him from pretty much second to ninth, almost or second to eighth, ninth, 10th, really the whole race. There were battles up and down the field. A well-earned victory for Alif. So hoping to hear from our podium finishers here soon.
Yeah, we will. And it looks like Ryan Whitlock has probably announced the winners of the championship. I couldn't get the name of it, but I'm going to ask around the race steward so we can get official confirmation on the championship winner, which I believe is right there, folks. Our Muhammad Alif right in front of us. I believe he's the one that won it all, but yeah, I mean wow, that's wow. I'm sorry. It looks like Ryan Whitlock making announcements for the drivers as
What are we watching right now?
I'm trying to talk something else as Alif is giving the front bumper to, I believe that's Kelton Quick. I think this is, I don't think this is rated M, but look at that. It looks as we're on board there with Converse University. Jay Cummings has a little burnout as he does celebrate his top 3 position. And I think he's gonna fully. I don't think he's gonna fully send it in. But who is that behind them? That's Garrett Weitzen. They're both team. Oh, well, I think they're gonna send it in deep. They're gonna avoid them.
Oh, I thought they were just gonna straight up T-bone them.
And it looks like he got sent to Brazil, and I think actually no. Jay Cummings is in the back rooms. Oh, I believe that's Evan. That's Evan Mason. doing a little bit of donuts, as he should. He completed the race. Evan Main, I'm sorry, not Mason. Evan Main finishing out in, I believe that is P14. So he got a top 15. He finished as his car number. P14 for the number 14 car. How fitting. Well, let's go over the grid, and we kind of went over it, but let's go over it again. Our Muhammad Ali, 1 minute and 3 seconds for Ball State, wins today as the race winner. Clint Halterman, he's going to be our alumni winner, and finishing out in second place for Team UNCC. P3, rounding about our podium, is Jay Cummings for Team Converse, and we saw him running up front in second. Unfortunately, towards the end, Clint Halterman was able to capitalize on some of the mistakes. And so outside of the podium, Robert Kissel Jr. for P4 for FIU. Cale Davidson, his Ball State teammate, finishing first and fifth in P5. Got a shout out to Lucas Moody because they were driver swaps. So Lucas Moody and Cale Davidson finishing in fifth. Ryan Whitlock rounding about in P6 for Team UAH. And his teammate, Connor Greer, a strong drive for him in P7. Kelton Quick, another Ball State teammate, for P8. With Garrett Weitzen salvaging a good finishing, really, for the top 10, and P9 for ASU for the Sun Devils, with Hunter Hasty rounding about our top 10 for Team Clemson.
Yeah, rounding.
No, go ahead.
Taking it away for P11. Alex Finnerty out of UNC Charlotte comes home after a good fight to try to get in the top 10. Arpad Kovacs for JBU will finish in 12th in the 24 car. University of Delaware's Zachary Witt will finish 13th. Evan Mains out of the Minnesota State University Mankato Racing Team will finish 5 laps down in 14th in car number 14. How fitting. The 124 of Nicholas Stockner out of Clemson University will finish 7 laps down in 15th. Jamie Placencia out of Team FC will finish in 16th, and I really hope I pronounced that correctly, or I'm sorry. Preston Pritzloff will finish 17th. Jason Wallet out of the University of Drexel will finish 18th. Nathan Roth out of Auburn will finish 19th. And the number 9 car, Andrew Voigt of Penn State University, finishes 20th. So we have 21. And then...
Technically, Keith did not actually make a lap. He did not fulfill the 107% rule. I believe he was just trying to spectate the race. So he does not qualify.
Should have watched the broadcast then. That's one way you can spectate the race.
Well, yeah, indeed. So that rounds about our top 20, and I believe we are about to get the drivers into the booth. I believe so, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if they are ready to be held up into the booth. I'm trying to see. It looks like they're still in the cool down room, and they're just discussing over the race. Let me just make sure here. Well, actually, no, I'm completely wrong. We can actually start pulling them up.
Let's pull them up.
Okay, so yeah, let's pull up first our third place finisher, and that's going to be Converse University, Jake Cummings. Jake Cummings, Team Converse on the track. Buddy, what a drive by you. You really kept it close with the lead towards the first stint of that race, but we saw, the transitioning to the dry. It proved to be really a big obstacle for many drivers, and we saw that battle you had with Clint. I mean, talk to me through how did it feel towards the end after that long 2-hour race.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I want to say I'm glad I got the battle so long. There wasn't really much going on other than the interesting weather dynamics. But yeah, I want to say I wish I had a really good battle with Clint, but it was just, most of the time it was just lap cars getting in the way and stuff. And if you go to defend, you're not on the dry line anymore, so you lose all your braking performance. So that happened to both of us a couple of times. It was cool to get a second chance after he got past me the first time, because, stuff and reasons, but, yeah, it was a pretty good race. I did what I came out to do. I wanted to just outscore Ryan and overhaul him for second, which we did, and then, I wanted to get some kind of money from this as well, because going into tonight, I qualified and finished fourth in all 3 races, so let's break that. So starting second and finishing third is pretty good by me, but yeah. At the end of the day, Clint would got me anyways. I wasn't for anything about our stuff just because I wasn't really turning the wick on well enough in that trans what is that transition phase. I was just not wanting to make any mistakes, like pushing too hard. When I already in pretty good position, so he definitely did a really good job with the transition, a lot better than I have. But it was a fun dynamic. I mean, that definitely made it a little less boring, for sure.
Interesting. So, Matthew, you got a quick question?
Yeah, Jake, I was going to ask, you mentioned the transition from the wet to dry, and obviously Clint was the first driver to move over to the dry tires. Were you expecting the crossover point to happen as soon as it did? Because us up in the booth, we were shocked when Clint into the pits to put on dry tires. We thought it was way too early, but he nailed the crossover point spot on.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think anyone thought we could get a crossover at all going into tonight. And once I saw there was no more rain for the rest of the race, we still had a little less than an hour left. I was thinking, well, maybe we could go to dries, but it was very quick because it went from, one lap maybe we could go to dries, and then, a lap or two later it was started to dry track by not the race control, but just the crew chief telling us that iRacing won. And then had a couple people go in, and I think Clint had put in his first flyer. That was a 145 when we were all doing 149s, 148s. And I was entering the final turn, so I was like, well, time to go in then. So, I mean, I ended up timing it pretty well, just not taking too much risk. So, I definitely didn't expect that to happen so early, if at all, honestly. But I'm glad that it did. It made the race a lot more interesting, for sure, for you guys as well as me.
Well, it was very, I mean, it was a lot of things, so much happening, and really watching the transition for the drivers, it was amazing. I mean, it goes to show how difficult the track was and with the track conditions. But yeah, man, congratulations on a P3. Before we let you go, give us your quick shout out, and yeah.
I'll shout out you guys. Just I know it's been difficult to find casters and broadcast teams for this series, so thanks for chiming in and helping with that this season especially, and thanks to the Converse Esports team. I think they were watching this as well last race of the season, so was definitely wanting to make it a fun one, and we managed to more or less. And thanks to CIL as well. Can't wait for that awards banquet that we're having on Monday. That'll be interesting. I might dress up for it. But yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Well, Jake, thank you so much for racing tonight. We appreciate the sentiments, and well, enjoy the off season, my guy. So it's now it's winter break. So yeah, I'll see you at the banquet next Monday, and take a break, because that was a lot of 2 hours of racing.
It was. Have a good night, guys.
Hmm. And that was our third place finisher of the night, Jake Cummings. I mean, Matthew, that was a great battle for him, but towards the end, he fell short towards the next guy that we're bringing up in here, and that's gonna be Clint Halterman, who not only is our second place finisher of the race, he is our alumni winner of the night. Clint, how does it feel to just drive through the field? You're one of the few people that had a great start, and well, I should say a great recovery. You started P6, finishing P2. How does it feel?
Man, that was a lot of fun. The transition from the wet to dry was really really cool, and the wet tires wearing out and stuff like that. That was I didn't expect the wets to actually wear much at all, or actually to be any tire wear, but there definitely was. But yeah, I was pushing pretty. I was kind of conserving or trying to keep the temps down on the wets when I had those on. I pitted a little bit early my first stint there to try and get the undercut, and it worked out really well. I was a lot faster than the new tires, but then those started to get started degrading some, so I decided to gamble a little bit, go to be the first one on the, or at least I think the first of the top 10 maybe, to go into the dries. And after that, I was just full on push mode for about 40 minutes there, and that was really fun. Just pushing as hard as I could, trying to run Jake down there, and we had a little battle there. I know I made a move on him, then I instantly made a mistake. He made a couple of mistakes, but yeah, that was a big difference than last night's IndyCar race where I just wasn't having a good time the whole race. That was a lot of fun from start to finish.
Matthew?
Yeah, Clint, we saw you in that first half of the race, really before the switch to dries. You had a really close battle with Ryan Whitlock, pretty much, for the first maybe hour and 30 minutes or so, hour 20. Talk us through that battle and kind of like what was going through your head, because you guys were kind of going back and forth with each other, where it seemed like you had a bit better short run pace, but he had a bit better long run pace.
Yeah, it's kind of weird in the rain. I feel like I'm quicker with someone in front of me rather than being um in clean air. I kind of felt that once I got up to Ryan and I got past him and then I was in front of him. I was like, well, I I don't really feel like I can't really pull away that much. And I think then he got back by me and I was still able to keep up with him. But yeah, we were having a really fun battle there. It was this especially the final sector of this track really I think suits these type of cars well with all the opportunities to get switchbacks and stuff, and a lot of the corners are really wide. Turn one's sharp, um, and it's just a lot of great spots to make moves and battle with somebody. I know the pit exit line into going into turn one was so slippery. There was one time me and him were battling, and I was trying to defend the inside because that would work well for me, and then I touched the paint there, and I almost lost it going into turn one. He was able to get by me, and then another time I know he was coming up on me, and I tried to just stay in the middle of the track and force him onto the white line a little bit, and I think he was able to dodge it there, but. Yeah, we were just really duking it out there, and yeah, I knew I could race. I could race them really hard but clean. That's usually how our battles go. If when we do get the chance to battle, we still have feels like a lot of the races we do something happens to one of us or we're not close enough to battle. But when we do battle, it's a lot of fun to race them.
Fun indeed, and honestly, you put on a show tonight. As I mean, you had one of us in the booth just absolutely surprised and shocked that you were gonna go on those dry tires. When I saw you go into the pits, and I saw you, I told them I was like, I see the pit crews. They're bringing out the dry, the slicks. They're taking out the warm blankets. They're gonna put it on. He's gonna drive on the dries, and just amazing. I mean, kudos to you on being the first one to really put yourself out there. Like you were the Voyager tonight in terms of being the first one to test out the limits to really venture into the unknown. So congratulations on your P2. And before we let you go, your quick shout outs.
Yeah, just want to shout out the OWR team, of course. Had quite a few good results there. Good battles. Uh, we thought Nick could have a chance to win the alumni title. He just bought the track. I think like an hour before the race started. So kudos to him for buying the track and trying it out, and then jumping in something really unfamiliar. And yeah, shout out to y'all for the season, for putting on the broadcast this season. It's the last race of the CIL season. Well, I guess until the Winter Series next week. So I'm super excited for the supercars. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's basically the Cup car, but if it was just better at the real courses. So really looking forward to that. And yeah, I'm glad to sign off on a good note for the season.
Indeed, indeed, and well, enjoy the off season. Take a break. It's been a long 2 hours, and see you at the banquet on Monday.
All right, thank you guys.
And that was our race alumni winner, Clint Halterman, and P2. And speaking of race winner, Matthew, do you want to take the honors of introducing him?
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring our race winner up into the booth. We talked about him all race long. It's R. Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University. Alif, how you doing? Congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much. Yeah, felt it was a fun race, different conditions. Yeah, had a good time.
Yeah, we saw you up at the front of the pack for a lot of that race. But one thing that we were kind of wondering about was kind of how you were navigating some of these lapped cars, because I think there was a couple of times during this race where it was pretty interesting the dynamic between some of the lap cars and some of the lead lap cars, different paces, different uh, conditions, tires, whatnot. Go ahead. How are you kind of handling the lap traffic today?
I mean, for me, I felt like the lap cars were very respectful, to me at least. Maybe because I was the leading car, so they kind of didn't want to do anything, or they just pulled out of the way. So yeah, it wasn't. I didn't really have any bad experiences. I know the other guys had a lot of bad experiences with the lap cars. So yeah, something to probably clarify with the race director and everything, just to make sure that in the future we don't have to face that same problem. Uh, the whole grid.
Indeed, that is something to definitely discuss. And this is less of about the race result, more so of what happened recently. Because obviously, I can ask you, how does it feel for like how was it the transition? And you'll say, oh, as expected. You already know how it goes with these type of races. But I guess what I want to ask is, how does it
Mhm.
feel after yesterday locking the championship, and getting a win today, rounding about the CSC series?
It's actually pretty fun, just because like it wasn't just a constant rain thing, So it was changing conditions. Qualifying was different. Practice started out dry. And yeah, I mean, at the end it was nice to just have a dry track, and I think that really just made me push even harder. I mean, the grip was there for the car, so I was like, I kind of wanted to push to see where the time was. So, but yeah, I mean, I've been just practicing in the wets, so that was my first time in the dry, here at least. So, yeah, it was fun. It was a good run. Just super happy we got to sweep the championship as well every race. So yeah, proud of the team for that.
Congrats, and we'll go into your shout outs. You're getting there.
Yeah, yes, yeah, the whole team, who are currently watching NFL, I think. I don't know what game's going on, but yeah, they're all sat in front of the TV, the whole team here, Oval and the road guys. So big shout out to them, big shout out to Dan and BK for all their support, the whole Ball State Esports organization. My family back home, my brother was here as well, and a big shout out to him. And yeah, big shout out to you guys for hosting this and giving us entertainment for the last 3 hours.
Thank you so much, Alif, and congratulations on winning the last race of this season, really of the year, in terms of
Mm,
Seattle competition. Enjoy the
sir.
break, enjoy the off season, and definitely touch grass, bro. Like,
No,
please.
I'll see you in New York, bro. Like, I'm flying there like in like 3 weeks time, so I'll see you there.
All right. Well,
Right.
look out for the CIL socials. We're gonna have a CIL meetup IRL. Anyways, have a good one, Alif.
IRL. Alright, see ya.
Have a good one. All right. Well, that was our race winner, Alif, and well, I think that's it. We spoke the grid. I'm thinking, Matthew. There's no schedule for Monday or for next week. That's it. This wraps up. So, thank you everybody for tuning in. Matthew, quick word before I give closing remarks.
Nah, it was a fantastic race to watch. Sometimes these 2-hour endurance races can kind of get a little bit dull when things get spread out, but I think these drivers tonight really had a fantastic challenge ahead of them with the changing conditions, and I think they all tackled it pretty well, and I think Fuji's a fantastic track, so no better way to end out our fall 2024 season than 2 hours around this iconic track, and it only makes me more excited to get into things for next season.
Yeah, and I definitely enjoyed it a lot. I mean, as you said, right? There could only be so much excitement at one point, but I think there was a lot more than I expected tonight, and it's just fantastic. And speaking of fantastic, thank you everybody for tuning in, for supporting. This doesn't happen without y'all and without the support. So thank you everybody for tuning in tonight for the 2 hours of the Land of the Rising Sun for the Collegiate Sportscar Series. With that, this concludes not only the CSC series, but all of our CIO competition of the fall 2024 and really of all year. So with that, Thank you everybody for all the support this year long. 2024 has been amazing. Recently, we've had a lot of support on social media, and we just appreciate it from the bottom of our heart. Thank you so much. It makes it so much worth it. Like to be here, to commentate, to just show you all the amazing talent and skill that these drivers have on track. Big shout out to Matthew Nordberg, the GOAT, here in the broadcasting and as a producer for tonight. The man not only is doing the double duties, so thank you so much for stepping in not only yesterday but today. And yeah, well, I hope everybody have a good rest of the year. Happy holidays from the CIO family, and subscribe because we're still doing some videos here and there, but live streams, I don't think so.